for Jay Gunn in Houston. There we go.
Now we're talking.
Yeah. Have you ever pondered what the storyline would be for Croc 4?
For Croc 4, yeah, it's Jay goes back to Australia. Jay Gunn goes back to Australia, and he gets lost in the wilderness, and there's an alligator about to eat him, and then the actual crocodile comes in and does whatever it was he does that talks to the animals, and saves Jay, and then the two of them go on a swashbuckling adventure where they teach the Aborigines how to gamble.
It just kind of writes itself.
Yeah. Just, it's right.
Have you thought about this? You said that very fluently.
Well, it took me 30 seconds to come up with, which is similar to the amount of time I spent on the plot of Crocodile Day 3.
Fantasy Football Pregame with Matthew Berry, served by Applebee's.
What's going on? Happy Sunday. Fantasy Football Pregame. You know these gentlemen. Matthew Berry. We've got Lawrence Jackson, Jay Croucher. I'm Britney Eurton. I think George is on a fairway somewhere. We're not quite sure. NBC Universal,
do we care?
I think you guys do.
He's
right?
still in Houston.
No.
We might have left him in
him
Houston.
Yeah.
We might have left him in Houston.
No, unfortunately, I had dinner with George last night, so he is alive.
Okay.
Physically, he's
All
always
right.
kind of half dead on the inside. That's his appeal, George Savaricas. But he's okay.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, he's it was actually good because we went to a local dive bar. It was interesting seeing George Savaricas mixed with the normal people.
Yes.
Because he lives this kind of glamorous. I would describe it as a glamorous celeb-based lifestyle.
Yes.
And so it was strange.
Celeb adjacent.
Yeah, celeb adjacent.
Yes.
Just him to look at the normal people. So it was good. George, down to earth.
Yeah.
Stanford and down to earth.
Was he willing to shake hands with the friends?
No,
with
we
the
didn't go that
locals?
far. No.
Okay.
Saving that for next time.
Next time.
Got it.
Sat in the
Understood.
corner.
Understood.
Yeah, exactly.
Understood.
Yeah.
Watched
Understood.
everybody.
Yep.
How we all been? Thanks
We're-
for having me back.
You're welcome, Brittany. Welcome back.
back.
Nice job. I have to believe George isn't here because his Bears are so terrible. He didn't want to show his face on national television.
Yeah,
with,
because you went at him a lot last week
Caleb
about
Williams
that.
averaged depth of target less than 1 yard. I'm just saying. And no big deal. I got in before we get into our storylines here. I have to very quickly talk about what my storyline. I got in at 3 a.m. this morning. 3 a.m. this morning.
You look great.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Brittany. Yeah, thank you.
But it goes where? To the building? Or where'd you get in?
To my house. To my home. I got into
okay.
my home at 3 a.m. And I'll tell you why. Now, most people, you know me most times, most days out of the week, most minutes and hours of the day, you know me as a fantasy football sports betting analyst, right? This is my primary job. This is my primary identity. But you know what else I am, guys? You know what else I am?
Batman?
I am a Cheshire cheer dad. What camera am I on? What camera am I on?
I mean, clap it up
There
for
we go.
that.
There we go.
Yeah.
Last night,
This
these
is
are my
great.
daughters. Last night at the New England Region Champion, the Cheshire Junior Cheer Team with my two daughters going to nationals.
Yeah.
We
Wow.
are going to nationals.
Wow. You cannot overstate how
listen,
big that is.
right, 100%. Like you have guys no idea. They go to locals, and you have to be top 3 at locals to get to states. They go to states, you have to be top 3 in the state of Connecticut to get to regionals. We were at regionals. You have to be top 3 at regionals. We did finish 3rd, and now we are heading to Orlando Nationals. These are all the girls right here. They've worked incredibly hard all season. Their coaches have done a great job. I don't think I've ever seen my daughters happier. I don't think I've ever seen me and my wife happier, honestly. Because there was incredible competition. I was there last night, so here you go. Cheshire Cheer Dad. So, we're heading to Orlando. We're heading to Nationals. Alexa, heads up, I'm going to need a broadcast from Universal Studios Orlando in the first week of December because I'm going to be there with my daughters. So shout out to everyone at Cheshire.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Come on.
I'm curious, though. What kind of cheer dad are you? What do you like in the audience watching your dad?
I mean, I'm a gambling one, obviously. I'm setting
Side
bets.
wagers.
Listen, I don't think your daughter can do that. Tumble. Yeah, absolutely.
Plus 700. This 13-year-old girl breaks her leg on this move.
100%. And I'm intimidating them as well. Walking up to the other little girls like, I don't think you've got it. I don't think you've got it.
Intimidation.
No,
wow.
I am. In all seriousness, to answer the question, I am a nervous cheer dad. Is what I am. I am very much like this. I am quiet and intense.
A scared cheer daddy.
I'm a scared cheer dad because you know what it is? It's two things. Number one is I don't know what they're doing. You know what I mean? I don't. I would love to tell you I understand the sport of cheerleading, and I understand it somewhat, but not to the level of the coaches and everyone like that. And so and then secondly, what my daughters do is, it sounds like you have at least some knowledge, but
Yeah,
one of
can't
my
tumble,
daughters,
but yes.
one of my daughters is a flyer. Just those are the girls that get thrown up in the air, so that's nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
and
I
my
bet.
other daughter is a tumbler, and so she's the one that like flips and flips and flips and flips and flips, and so it's just like, anyway, so nerve-wracking as a dad.
I'm
to be perfect. I'm a
envisioning Matthew
nerve-wracking.
like, oh.
Yeah, it's a lot of that, Britt. It's a lot of like, you know, and you know, my wife just drinks wine, and so it's fine. You know, she's like, okay, just,
You should do that too, then.
believe me,
Take the edge off a little bit, especially at nationals.
Well, believe me, it's gonna be a party. But anyway, I was up till we were, you know, all the parents and everything like that. The ceremony didn't get started till like 9 o'clock last night, you know, and so anyway, and then we heard and. There's a video of me taping them, and it's filled with profanity because I'm just like, holy, you know, like I'm like.
Is that why we couldn't show it? Just
pretty much.
Too much bleeping.
Too much bleeping it would take. But anyway,
Congratulations to that.
thank you very much.
Awesome.
So shout out Cheshire Junior Girls
Good
Cheer.
too. We have a new genre of dad. The cheer dad. There was,
cheer dad.
There was Tobias Funke was leather daddy.
Yep.
And you, Matthew Berry, is cheer daddy.
I am absolutely 1,000%, 100% proud. So proud of those girls.
I think
So
that
proud of
is
those
fair.
girls.
Well-
And listen, should I take credit? Should I
No.
take credit? No. But although I have driven them to practice a lot and picked them up.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't be there without you. Literally.
It is a commitment, both from the
Yes.
girls and from the parents. I get that.
It
I was
is,
a dance.
yes.
I was a dancer.
mean,
so
Without
I get it.
cheer
I
daddy,
totally
there
get
is
it.
no Samantha and Brooke.
Right, correct. And you know what's the best part is that like the majority of the stuff that has to be done, my wife has to do. Like, look, honey, you want me doing their hair and makeup? Okay. So I just get to sort of
girls
sit,
said,
right,
no.
of course.
No,
1,000%.
Dad.
So I just get to sit there and be like, honey, I want to be supportive, but you know, they need you. And we've got two, you know what I mean? So my poor wife has to do double duty, and it's, anyway.
Only so
Shout
much
out
we
to
can
Beth.
do. Okay, if we're talking
all
about
right.
things we did this weekend,
Yes.
can I share quickly?
Sure. And then we got to get to football.
3
We're gonna get to
a.m.
football,
I
I
didn't
promise.
arrive, but quickly, this is what happened yesterday. I was at the National Dog Show, which of
Okay.
course you can see on NBC and Peacock after the Macy's
You're a
Thanksgiving
company
Day
woman.
Parade. Yeah,
Yep.
you know, sharing that, right? And so we have some fun photos. I
Okay.
think this stash might resemble Lawrence a bit.
Yeah,
I mean, who has a better stash is what I want to know.
So these are dogs that you think look like dogs.
got me a little beat. Yeah, me a
That's
little beat.
fair
Just,
enough.
you know, my mustache a little younger though. We still jet black
Yeah,
with the
this
stash
is you in
here.
20 years, Lawrence.
Yeah.
This is when you're wise, Lawrence.
Yeah, you know, with
When you're
the
stroking
dog
your
is
beard.
the dog is cut everywhere else, so keep the fresh fade everywhere else, but with the stash though, so I like it.
And I guess those eyebrows looks angry, but not angry. What else do we got? And I'm not
Jeff
taking any
Bridges.
credit for the dogs that
quite all
were
right.
found here, right? Not taking any credit whatsoever for these.
So
there
from
were nearly 2,000 dogs, by the way.
Yeah, let me get this straight,
Are we
Brittany.
still live with the picture of now it's Jay? He doesn't have a mustache.
Oh, there we go.
Uh,
I don't really see
Not
that.
sure. I don't
Yeah,
sure I see
wait,
that.
Tell us how your hair looked this morning, though, when you walked in. You made a comment
Kind
on
of
it.
similar to
a little
that.
similar with the faux hawk there.
A little mohawkian.
And you look at the sad eyes and the tongue hanging out. Like that's a dog that put a lot of money on DeMar Hamlin to win Comeback Player of the Year last year. You can tell.
Yeah,
You can just tell by the
Actually-
depressed look in that dog's face.
I actually believe that dog came back from the dead as well, and then also lost Comeback Player of the Year to Joe Flacco. That dog,
Comeback Dog of the Year
yeah,
to Joe
Comeback Dog of the
Flacco.
Year. Yeah, exactly.
And they could have gone low-hanging fruit, like an Australian Shepherd. And
That's
I don't know
true.
what that would. Oh, I don't know what mine is. Yeah, okay.
That's cute.
Okay.
Looks more like Matthew
yeah.
to me.
no, Matthew's is the one in the back.
The
That's cute.
princess.
He the one in the back.
I don't know. That one's hair looks a little better than mine does.
no.
The crown. Okay. What do we
You got the big
for Matthew?
eyes. Yeah. And then what about me? Did we find a bald dog?
Wow. Dang, boy, they did you dirty.
Damn. I get it. I'm old. Yeah, I get it.
That dog actually did die like DeMar
But you know what
might
though?
be.
You know what though? This dog look kind of tired, and you
Yeah.
tired because you came in at 3 a.m.
Yes,
so
sir.
it,
There you
it
go.
add up.
Yeah, I am.
But
Not
look
bad.
at the necklace around him, too.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
adorable. All right, that was so fun. Okay,
right.
Thanksgiving Day,
I just have a
National
quick
Dog
question.
Show.
Hey, Steven, can we just throw up a poll real quickly before we're going to get into football the next hour, next 2 hours, basically all football nonstop. But I'm just curious. So Britney went from the dog show. She had to go cover a dog show, and now she's with us. Like, how poorly is Britney's career going at the moment? Can we just, at what point do we fire your agent? At what point do we do that, Britney? Like, come on, let's be honest with you. Like, hey, Britt, great news. We're sending you to interview a bunch of dogs, and then you got to go and then you got to go talk to Matthew Berry for 2 hours. Like, I mean, in all seriousness.
Let's ask
like,
the people.
Yeah,
The poll.
if we could
Hashtag
pull that
FF
out.
Pregame.
Just on a scale of 1 to 10, how poorly is Britney's career
Did
going?
my weekend go up or down?
Yeah, honestly, I think down, but
Good question.
yeah,
We'll
it's
find
an
out
excellent
in
Get
about
more cogent thoughts out
an
of
hour
the
10.
dogs.
All right, let's get into Week 11 storylines. Matthew, kick us off here.
Yeah, and I think it's Anthony Richardson. Lawrence staked his previously good name to Anthony Richardson
That's right.
beginning of the year. This is a guy that went as a top 4 quarterbacks. I saw a lot of people. People were pitching me him as a ride or die. I didn't do it. It's obviously been an incredibly disappointing season for Anthony Richardson. He gets benched for comeback player of the year, Joe Flacco, but he makes his return today against the Jets. By the way, the Jets, one of the teams in the NFL that give the most rushing touchdowns to opposing quarterbacks, and they can't stop the run either. Now, banged up offensive line for the Colts, but can Anthony Richardson, after a couple of weeks on the bench, come back and be the productive fantasy quarterback that we all expected? Because he's got top 5 in the NFL upside, but he's also got getting benched at halftime upside, a downside, I should say. So that's my storyline, is the return of Anthony Richardson, potential fantasy superstar.
Looking sharp there. All right, Jay, what about you?
Another quarterback who can't really throw the ball to his teammates at the moment, Sam Darnold. Can he get back on track? Because he was horrific last week against Jacksonville. Supposed to be a very favorable matchup. Wasn't at all. He quietly wasn't that good on Sunday Night Football against Anthony Richardson's Colts either, with a couple of awful turnovers. Now he was able to overcome that with a lot of great plays too. So Sam Darnold, he's had really high highs where he's kind of in the MVP conversation, now really low lows where he was terrible. So now he gets this tough Titans defense on the road. So what can we expect from Darnold? And also what can we expect from TJ Hawkinson? Hawkinson looks like himself.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then he might just be a top 3 tight end the rest of the way. So is he going to emerge? Is he going to help Darnold get out of this little mini funk, help complement Justin Jefferson in that offense? And there's ripple effects too to guys like Jordan Addison who really haven't gotten going.
For sure, and it's a tough matchup, as you mentioned.
A lot of it's what to expect. Lawrence?
For me, if the theme is turnover quarterbacks here, well, Jared Goff had 5 of those last week, right? But I don't know how much they'll have to throw today against these Jaguars. So my storyline is, how effective can the pass catchers be? Primarily Amon-Ra St. Brown. You're only starting Jamison Williams if the league is deep, but how effective can they be with being 13.5-point favorites here? Sam Laporta is also out as well, so this could be a run-heavy attack for the Lions.
You're talking run-heavy. I think you're going to see that with the Bears, too. So my storyline here is, what does the Bears' offense look like with their new offensive coordinator, Thomas Brown? I really think that Hail Mary by your Commanders just completely imploded the Bears, not looking like what they did at the start of the season. But in terms of Thomas Brown, a former running back, they say they want to get the ball out of Caleb Williams' hands as quickly as possible. He probably doesn't love hearing that, but they seem to embrace Thomas Brown, so that's, for me, what is their offense going to look like?
Yeah, he was in charge of the Panthers last year. Doesn't inspire a ton of confidence here. Again, as I mentioned, Caleb Williams last week literally has averaged up the target less than 1 yard. He wasn't throwing more than a couple yards down in the field. Bunch of dink and dunk. So, but what does the Bears look like without Shane Waldron, I think, is certainly a storyline for today. No question.
Easy segue as we get into our burning questions and take a look at a few.
Did Britney make that? No, still no Britney on the graphic.
I did not.
Again, this agent of yours is just doing such a terrible job.
Maybe this is purposeful, though. Maybe I just don't want to be on this graphic with a
smart. That's fair. Hat. I don't blame you, actually.
All right, first matchup we're looking at, Packers versus the Bears, and as long as I have the line correct, the Packers are favored by 6 over under 40.5. So can you start any of the Bears this week? Kind of following up after what we were just talking about.
I mean, you see DJ Moore at 33, Roma Dunze at 39. Honestly, with the exception of DeAndre Swift, who I have at running back 20, I don't want any piece of this Bears offense. Again, I don't know that it's different, so there's variance, but I don't know that Shane Waldron to Thomas Brown is an upgrade. Again, we'll see. There's some variance there at least, but you do have to figure, especially on the road at Green Bay, they lean on Swift here, guys. 6 straight games with at least 17 touches. He's had 20 or more in 4 of the last 6. Since week 4, he's the 6th best running back in fantasy football on a points-per-game basis, and so, they're not using him in the passing game consistently, so that's a concern. There's a chance that game script gets away from them because I think healthy Jordan Love off the bye, I think there's a chance the Packers boat race him in this one. But I do think that if you have Swift, you're starting him as a low-end RB2.
Yeah, definitely. Even when the Bears' offense started to get bad versus your Commanders in Week 8, he had 18 carries, 129 yards, and a touchdown. The past 2 weeks, he's still gotten the touches. He hasn't been getting the touchdowns, so I would say I'm with you there. That's the only person you could feel even a little bit of confidence in starting.
3 straight games with under 10 fantasy points for Caleb Williams. 0 touchdowns in that stretch, Jay. Is there was a lot of talk about, offensive rookie of the year is going to be Jaden Daniels or Caleb Williams. Not only is this no longer a race, I think Bo Nix gets more votes than Caleb Williams at this point.
I think Malik Neighbors gets more votes than Caleb Williams potentially. Yeah. Brian Thomas Jr. if he has a hot close as well. So I think it's difficult with Caleb because I just can't really envision that someone who played as well as he did in those games against Jacksonville in London and against the Panthers that he's going to actually fail. And so look. We're 10 weeks into his career in the NFL. I think that he is probably going to be fine, and he's showed enough flashes, but it hasn't been great recently. To your point, Matthew, about the variance of losing Waldron, I think it just has to be good across the board because it's different. Yeah. And it seemingly could not get any worse with the level of talent that they had. And so just anyone calling just different plays, I think creates upside. So today you want to see it first, but outside of DeAndre Swift as an RB2 is no one you feel good about in this offense.
Okay, what do we got here? I am Steve. Hello, Steve. Does it look like Lamb is going to play? Hopkins, Lamb, Tillman, Swift, Cook, Jay Cook, sit 2, please, and thanks so much.
All right, so here's what I would say. Just in general, I would sit Tillman and Swift, but no, I don't know if Lamb's going to play. He showed up on the injury report just recently. It's obviously the Monday night game against the Texans. So I will say that I think here's what I would say. I think if we knew for a fact, as of this moment, that CeeDee Lamb were playing, Tillman and Swift is who I would bench. But honestly, depending on the size of your league, I don't know if you have a pivot that you could go to on Monday night. I don't know if you have a Tank Dell, if Jalen Tolbert is on your a Rico Dowdle, somebody like that you have a pivot, you can put Lamb into your flex spot and you have a pivot. If you don't have a pivot, if you don't have a viable pivot, and I don't consider Jalen Tolbert a viable pivot, then I would play Cedric Tillman instead of Lamb. I just don't want to risk it. Guys that show up on the injury report later in the week makes me nervous. You think about CeeDee Lamb. He is their franchise guy, right? I mean, they've signed him to this big deal. Again, it's Monday Night Football, and technically they're still alive, but they're 3-7 or whatever they are. Right? They're done, and so Dak's done for the year. If there's a concern about injury, they're just not going to risk it with CeeDee Lamb, with my guy Aites. So, I think Tillman has a good enough matchup on the road at New Orleans with Jameis Winston, and just the massive target share he's been getting since Winston's taken over that job, that I think I would just, I'd play it safe with Tillman.
Yeah, because like you said, a viable option, there's no shot he has Tank Dell, or else he'd have put him up there, and you don't want to have CeeDee Lamb and then Jalen Tolbert. You might as well just play it out with Cedric Tillman at this point, just to be safe.
I mean, there's a reasonable chance Tillman outproduces Lamb anyway.
I'm about to say, because even if he plays, it's still right.
He's
even
been
if
good.
He played,
Tillman's been great since Club said is open for business. He's been great since Winston took over this job as well. And so, again, I think that's what I would do. Tillman or Swift, honestly, depending if it's not position. But I think I prefer the upside of Tillman to Swift.
Yep.
Personally.
Keep sending in those questions. Tweet the show, #FF Pregame. All right, let's move forward to AFC North on the line in this upcoming matchup. Really intriguing. Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Baltimore's favored by 3.5. The over-under is 48 as we take a look, Matthew, at your top players for that matchup. So, does the matchup make Russell Wilson a strong play this week? Obviously undefeated since starting for the Steelers.
Yeah, I think so. When you think about what a pass funnel defense these Baltimore Ravens are, since week 5, they allow the second most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks, over 26 a game. In fact, in that stretch, only one quarterback, it's been 6 games, right? Only one quarterback hasn't scored 20 fantasy points against them. They are just so pass funnel heavy. Quarterbacks that face the Ravens this year averaging 314 passing yards per game. Jaylen Warren is going to play. That news came out just before we hit the air. So Jaylen Warren is expected to play, which gives him another pass catching option, which is good. I think, I'm a little concerned about your guy Najee here, Jay, in this matchup here. But I do think Russell Wilson, as you see there, I'm as a top 7 play today. I think Russ will cook in a losing effort against the Ravens.
A little worried about Russ. I think he's a little bit of a mirage, as we talked about during the week. He's getting very lucky on these deep balls. Kyle Hamilton is going to play as well for the Ravens, which helps them. I I just don't understand why this Ravens pass defense is so bad. I get that it statistically has been terrible, but I wonder so much of that I think is just getting cooked by Joe Burrow twice. And outside of that, they haven't been great either, but I just expect that this Ravens defense is going to improve at some point. They were the best pass defense in the NFL last year. It's mostly the same players. I get that Mike McDonald is gone and they did lose some pieces, but I think it's going to get better. And I just worry that Russ at the bottom is going to fall out a bit. But I do think they're going to lose the Steelers, so I think they'll be throwing and that he's startable. But I do think it's going to turn for Russell Wilson.
This is why the Ravens' pass defense is so bad. 7 of their 10 opponents have thrown the ball at least 35 times. Yeah. Right? Of the 3 who didn't, none of them finished better than quarterback 14 in fantasy. But Russell Wilson hasn't thrown the ball 30 times in the game yet. So the question is, how much are they going to throw? If Russell's going to throw 30 to 35 times, I'll buy that. Top 10 fantasy quarterback. If he doesn't, then it's getting a little iffy because he's not completing 60% of his passes.
No, he has not been good. He has not been good, and I agree with you. I think at some point he gets exposed, but the over-under in this game is 48, which for a Ravens-Steelers game is shocking. This is a game that typically I feel like it's always like in 39 and a half, 41. Like it's, and so the fact that we're expecting offense on both sides of the ball in this game, and again, I think they will be unsuccessful running against Baltimore. So part of it is they're going to have to throw. The addition of Mike Williams, like again, he ran 9 routes or whatever, played 9 snaps last week. Like he's not going to play a ton, but it's another guy out there. They'll take some shots to Pickens, Calvin Austin. They have some guys that can get down the field, and Russ does love those moon balls.
He does.
Okay, so still a start, but you're not totally sold. All right, we've got another question coming up here. Michael Stanzian, I think we're going here. Matthew at Peacock, sit one. Najee, D-Hop, JSN.
I'm sitting Najee Harris.
Yep.
Look,
kind of
only one running back has gotten even 50 rushing yards against the Ravens this year. I mean, they've just been so good defensively. Harris has a 6% target share this year. Since Russell Wilson became the starter, a 6% target share. So it's really first and second down, and what you're hoping with Harris is that he falls into the end zone. I just don't love it. JSN had the breakout game. San Francisco struggles against the slot. That's where you sort of attack them as well. We expect Ward to be on DK Metcalf, and then DeAndre Hopkins. They're underdogs on the road at Buffalo, and DeAndre Hopkins doesn't matter about the coverage because he's going to be double covered and he's still coming down with it.
Yeah.
Do you two agree? Sit or start Harris?
Definitely got to sit Najee there.
Yep, sit Najee.
Does Jaylen Warren starting change anything for anybody?
Look, I think it's just mainly a product of this Ravens run defense. It was like an outlier tier 1 run defense alone, separated from the rest of the league. And so Najee Harris, as good as the story has been, as effective as he has been, he's not the type of talent level and he doesn't get the type of usage where you just have to start him every single week. So I suspect that Jaylen Warren is just going to outproduce Najee because it's going to be more of a throw script for the Steelers.
How close do you think this game's going to be when all is said and done?
Not close.
Not
close at all.
Ravens win comfortably. That would be my favorite spread of the day is Ravens -3.
Oh,
I agree with Jay.
All right, heard it here.
I agree with Jay and Matthew.
Yeah.
Consensus here. Let us know what you think. All right, moving forward to probably the game of the
Steelers should have
weekend.
lost last week to the Commanders.
Look,
honestly.
they should have.
They should have.
Yeah,
Yeah, Commanders pissed it away.
but it's
Very upsetting. So anyway, I just think there's a reckoning coming for Russ and the Steelers. There's a reckoning, but I will say I still think Russ gets some junk time production. Makes him a top 10 play.
Moving forward to Chiefs and Bills. Of course, we know Chiefs are 9-0. You said earlier, did you not, when they were maybe 5-0, 6-0, the worst 6-0 team ever?
I mean, they keep winning these one-score games.
Yeah.
Like, they really could have lost to the Bucs at home. They should have lost to the Broncos at home. Chiefs are a great team. They might be the best team in football. You could argue that, but they're not as dominant as your typical 9-0 team, certainly.
Let's lean into the Bills first, though. So who steps up with Dalton Kincaid and Keon Coleman out?
I mean, I think Khalil Shakir is the first guy, I think, right? He's a slot guy who's had 4 straight games with 6 or more receptions. Like, Josh Allen has been targeting him as well. Kansas City gives up the 2nd most receptions per game to the slot. So that's an area of the field that you can attack. And obviously, there's a comfort level between Josh Allen and Khalil Shakir. Looks like Amari Cooper is going to play. That's the expectation right now. I think he's going to have a cast on his hand, but he'll play. But one of the concerns here with Amari Cooper is the Chiefs allow the fewest receiving yards per game to perimeter wide receivers. And that's obviously where Cooper aligns 80% of the time. He's on the perimeter, so he's just merely wide receiver 35 for me. And I do think Dawson Knox is a viable streamer, guys. Chiefs allow the most receptions per game to opposing tight ends. And so no Dalton Kincaid. Knox comes in at tight end 11 for me. There've been 7 different tight ends this year who saw at least 5 targets against the Chiefs. 5 of them scored double-digit fantasy points. So Knox becoming a low-end tight end 1 streamer.
We're talking about Josh Allen's weapons. Should we answer this question first? PPR,
yeah, you go for it.
Flex, Amari Cooper, or Rico Dowdle? I gotta go Rico Dowdle.
Yep.
Don't know what Amari Cooper's gonna look like here coming off the injury. He should play more snaps than he did when he first suited up for the Bills, but Dowdle in the Cowboys, we don't love that either. But with them recently saying he's the lead back, I feel like they should have said that a while ago. You gotta go Rico Dowdle here.
Yep.
Eric, thanks for finish your thought though.
Yeah, I think Josh Allen steps up and has a nice day, right? He's still a top 5 fantasy quarterback, but I'm talking about being the top fantasy quarterback again, like he usually is. 2 of his last 3 regular season games against the Chiefs, he's thrown 300 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. Now, he's thrown an interception in his last 3 games. You remember, he had a long streak this season where he didn't throw a pick, so can he get it back together here? This is his shot. Undefeated Chiefs going against Patrick Mahomes. This is the time to do it, and I think he will.
I got a question for you, Jay. So over the last 4 weeks, the Bills are 17th against the pass. They're middle of the pack. Patrick Mahomes is a 2.5-point underdog in this game. Your thoughts on Mr. Mahomes?
Yeah, I think one of the most kind of interesting little factoids about NFL betting the past, really Mahomes' entire career, has been that he's been an underdog 14 times in his career. He's failed to cover the spread once of those 14 times. And I believe that is not just a trend about, a team on a certain day of the week does certain things. I think that is real because, one, when he is an underdog, I just think he has an extra gear. He runs more often as well. He puts his body more on the line, which makes sense in these kind of closer games. And also I think a big aspect of that is, Andy Reid just uses the best plays. He calls the real plays against teams like Buffalo. And if the Chiefs win this is pretty much the 1 seed wrapped up. This is a huge game. I'm a bit worried about their pass defense against Josh Allen, but certainly I'm not going against Patrick Mahomes.
Are you taking the Chiefs plus 2.5?
I would take the Chiefs plus 2.5.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Move at all?
No,
it's been moving though. I think it started at 1.5, right? And it's been actually weirdly trending towards the Bills. It was either open at either 1.5 or 2.
It's the exact same thing happened in the divisional round between the Bills and the Chiefs last year, where the line moved towards the Bills. Bills were, I think, 2.5-point favorites, and Patrick Mahomes won.
It's gonna move the other way now that Jay just said that, and I got a feeling.
I love that stat.
And I think it'll move a little bit.
14 times, covered 13 times. It's unbelievable.
All right, we got a YouTube question here from Robert Kendall. Downs, Hopkins, JSN, full PPR flex, need 1.
What do you think, Jay?
Well, I don't feel great about Josh Downs with Anthony Richardson coming back, so I think it's probably between Hopkins and JSN. It's going to be interesting with JSN because he obviously had that huge game last time we saw him, but that was without DK Metcalf. I kind of trend towards the idea that JSN, because of that performance, is going to more supplant Tyler Lockett in the pecking order. So I would go JSN narrowly over Hopkins.
Yeah, I think it's close. I probably would lean Hopkins here, but I agree. It's right there. It's a little bit of a coin flip there. So I do think, again, like I said, JSN, it should be good game script for JSN, obviously, and the way you attack San Francisco is against the slot. They're much better against perimeter wide receivers.
All right, Sunday Night Football. Cincinnati Bengals against Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are favored by 1. The over-under is 48. All right, Justin Herbert, has he regained his fantasy appeal at all?
I think he has. But, since week 8, he's the 7th best quarterback in fantasy. 3 straight games with 19 more fantasy points. He should attempt more passes. Their pass rate over expected has been much better since they've come out of the bye. Feels like he's more comfortable in Greg Roman's offense. He's healthier. Jim Harbaugh kind of, loosening the chains, as it were. So if he attempts 25 passes, which I don't think is that much, against we expect Cincinnati to be able to score, right? Joe Burrow's been as hot as any quarterback in the NFL. So they're going to have to throw a little bit. If he throws 25 passes, right, There have been 5 different quarterbacks that have thrown at least 25 passes against the Bengals this year. 4 of the 5 of them have thrown for multiple touchdown passes. Over the last 4 weeks, it's worth noting the Bengals 25th in pass defense as well. I think Justin Herbert's passing prop in this game is 243. I think that's way too low. I have him as a top 5 fantasy quarterback. Bengals also give a lot of rushing yards to opposing quarterbacks, so I could see Herbert scrambling for, 15, 20, 25 yards in this one.
I think he's back fantasy relevant again. It's in a different way. I actually believe this year when he's on pace to throw for probably his lowest yardage. So he's playing his best football this year, right? Just a better player overall. Now you got defense. The Chargers are winning games now. That's the most important thing. But look, last week he's quarterback 8. He only threw 18 passes for 164 yards, and he was quarterback 8 last week. Week before that, QB 12.
And that was Tennessee, where they were just he didn't need to do much against Tennessee.
Right. He's running a little bit now. The week before that, quarterback 12, and it only took him 27 passes to do that. So it's more efficient type Justin Herbert, whereas to his first few years, it was just throwing the ball 35 to 40 times a game. They're losing. He's getting empty calorie stats. He's getting the real stats now playing good football.
Yeah, I think coming into the season and maybe even the first couple of weeks, the 2 knocks on Herbert and the reasons for pessimism were 1, Chargers just going to run the ball a ton, and then 2, he doesn't have viable weapons. I think both of those things have kind of been disproven, where now they are throwing the ball at a reasonable rate. And then, it's not a great receiving core, but Ladd McConkey is fine. Quentin Johnston has been perfectly viable.
Yeah.
Josh Palmer as a third option is okay. Will Dissly, they have options that can raise, can get Herbert to a level that didn't seem viable. And also he's running too, which has always been an underrated element that Herbert can provide. He ran one in against the Titans. So I think he is a top 10 quarterback, certainly today and perhaps going forward too.
All right, if we look at the other end of the field, how comfortable do we feel starting T. Higgins in his first game back? So he missed 50% of the games this season due to that quad injury. So how comfortable do we feel starting him?
I feel decently comfortable. He was wide receiver 13 when he played in fantasy points per game. That was weeks 3 through 7. 2 of those games he saw double-digit targets. He's been more consistent this year than he has in recent years. Recent years, we would see him have a big game, kind of disappear, kind of like what Devontae Smith doing statistically this year. But T. Higgins has been he's been leveled out this season. The last time he was out, he had a good game, so I would feel better about starting him than definitely any Packers receiver you got out there. I feel good about him.
Yep, I do too. The sneaky thing about T. Higgins is that when he's been out there, he's basically been playing Jamar Chase to a draw in terms of targets. So I think that's the key. I think that, you load up Higgins.
Each of his past 4 games, a 30% target share. He's actually,
monstrous.
He doesn't have as many explosive plays as Jamar Chase, but he's actually getting as much, if not more, targets than Jamar Chase. When he's played this year, he's averaging over 16 fantasy points per game. He's my wide receiver 13 this week. So just like Lawrence and Jay, if you got him, you're throwing him right back into your lineup here.
All right, what about between these two? So Justin saying full PPR, Pollard or Higgins?
Yeah, I'm going with Higgins. Tony Pollard made my hate list this week. Listen, Tajay Spears significantly cut into his playing time, came back last week in games in which running backs don't get a ton of work against the Vikings, they struggle. And so we expect Higgins to have a very nice game. I think Pollard struggles. I think the hope for with Pollard is if they're down, that there's some dump offs to Pollard. But again, Spears also plays that passing down role. So you're looking at, with Tony Pollard, you're looking at basically 50% on a low scoring team, 50% of the running back touches. The implied team total for Tennessee is, 17 or something, 21. It's not good.
Yep. Higgins for me, not particularly close.
Yeah.
I'm curious, if a player ends up on your hate list, do you hear from them?
I've never heard from, once or twice, I guess. But usually when I hear from them, it is after they've had a big game. And they're just like, I saw I was on your hate list, Barry. Cut to, and I ran for 100 yards and 3 touchdowns or whatever, I think for the most part, NFL players understand 2 things. They understand that love and hate is not about the player themselves. It's just about the matchup and about the expectations, right? And, saying that you're not going to do as well against a Baltimore run defense is not an insult, saying that, we think he'll do better against the Jets run defense, which is brutal, right? And the other thing, so they understand that, it's not personal about the player. It's just literally about the matchup and the expectations for that specific week. And the other thing is that they also understand it's fantasy football, and they don't care, rightfully so. Like, they want to go out there trying to help their team win. That's all they care about, trying to help their NFL team win an NFL game. And so whatever us in Nerdville over here are talking about, whatever. So
cheer daddies
no
in
hate
Nerdville.
mail.
yeah, cheer
No hate
daddies
mail.
in Nerdville. There you go.
One more thing.
That's my new
band
book.
name.
You guys were talking T. Higgins, obviously, in his corner, but the fact that he's playing under a one-year franchise tag, do you lean into that at all in terms of, well, if he's going to play, he's 100% ready to play?
I think
Do
so.
you
I
lean
think
into
that's a
that?
reasonable thing to read into.
Yeah.
That Higgins wouldn't be back unless he was fully right to go
Correct.
on prime time.
Yeah, 1,000%. But it's an important game for the Bengals. I mean, their season's on the
If
line.
they lose, they're done.
Yeah, 1,000%.
All right. It is time for Shot for Shot. You can see 3 lovely shot glasses in front of us.
Yes.
I don't know what this means by the fact that I don't have a sticker on it. Does it just mean it's a really terrible shot for shot prediction? It's
No,
also a large
Or
fit.
the opposite.
No, or the opposite. Whatever. She was at the dog show yesterday. Like, she's ready to get drunk.
He had
Like,
no
whatever.
stickers.
Ready to go. Matthew, kick us off.
All right, you heard Lawrence sort of talk a little bit about this Lions game earlier in the show, and I'm going to say 15 fantasy points for Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. That's right, both these guys, Sonic and Knuckles, Knuckles and Sonic. I don't know which one's which. It doesn't actually matter. Both
Clearly
running backs.
Montgomery's
What?
Montgomery's clearly Knuckles.
Okay. Montgomery's clearly Knuckles. I don't play the Sonic game. I have to be honest with you. I don't. I'm too busy, helping my daughters get to nationals. No big deal. Anyway, look. Running backs that see at least 15 touches against the Jaguars are averaging 19.8 fantasy points per game. And both Dave Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are both averaging at least 15 touches a game. So both guys have at least 15 fantasy points today in a big win for the Lions. One pride, one roar, fur up.
They definitely play for the Lions and not the Browns, which is the shot glass that Matthew was holding
Did
up.
I really?
They
It was put in the wrong order for me. Damn it.
Now you got to pour them, switch them.
Yeah, you can't look at
Maybe
the
we
man
need a
in the
report,
mirror
get
on
you
that
another
one.
one, do it
All
all
right,
over
well, you
again.
know what? All right, here's
Hey, look,
my
this-
Lions one. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
He was out till 3
Not even
a.m. last
close.
night, folks.
Yeah.
Forget
I'll tell you
full
this:
nothing
the
against him.
the cheer parents can tie one on.
Wow.
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, we ripped that Marriott courtyard up.
Wow.
Oh yeah,
All right. Well, you know who else is going to rip that Marriott courtyard up?
the courtyard for
today?
Marriott, I should say. Yeah.
It's Bo Nix.
Bo Nix.
He can tie one on.
Yeah.
The Broncos win, and they cover -1.5 against Atlanta. Bo Nix has been playing at a much higher level lately. And I think Kirk Cousins is one of the quarterbacks who is most dependent on the defense that he goes up against. He's going to feel pressure against this really strong Broncos defense. They get to him, and they cover 1.5.
I dig it.
Cheers.
I like it.
I think the Lions are going to tear that courtyard Marriott up. But
Yeah.
I don't know if Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown will. I got both of them finishing outside of the top 15 in fantasy at their positions. Goff has only thrown 30 passes twice this season. And both times he's done that, he's thrown interceptions in that game. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he scored a touchdown in 7 straight games. Still, he has weeks of wide receiver 27, wide receiver 14, wide receiver 51. So with them being 13.5-point favorites, I think they both finish outside the top 15. But they win easy.
Lawrence always so much passion in the shot for shot. Like I'm hanging on your every word.
Because I like them shots, that's why.
Well,
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Right,
Fair
no,
enough.
it does.
I felt more bullish in
Yeah,
Russell
by the way,
Wilson.
Lawrence, you're welcome at the courtyard by Marriott anytime.
I'll be there. Let
Right,
me know
exactly.
next
After
time.
10
Yeah,
o'clock, come to
yeah,
Orlando.
yeah.
We're going to rip that up.
I felt more bullish on Russell Wilson tearing it up at the Courtyard Marriott
Yeah.
before we
Okay.
sat down, but then Jay just really threw me for a loop here.
Don't
but no,
listen to
I'm going
Jay.
to stick with it. I'm going to stick with it.
Sorry,
Russell
Jay.
Got to.
It's no
Wilson
good.
will be a top 10 quarterback this week. I feel like we're seeing throwback Russell Wilson. Yes, that's where I'm going. Averaging 250 yards a game, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, and it's a defense that they're going up against that has allowed the second most fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. So, Russell Wilson for me, top 10.
Let's ride.
Fair enough. Let's Bronco country. Let's ride. Steal up. Okay, your fiance didn't give you that one, right? I don't
No, but
trust
how-
his fantasy advice.
How about this? He won a couple
Did he
weeks
finally
ago.
won?
Finally did.
Finally got off the schneid.
Squeaked out a
There
win.
you go.
Yeah, but it hasn't
See,
been looking
his
very
fiance comes and hosts the show. Finally, your fiance wins a fantasy football game. It's no mistake. Good.
It's
You
'cause
should
he was
take over.
listening to you guys,
You should take
right?
over your team. There's no question about it. All right. So now here's my Browns one. All right. Here we go. Jameis Winston, 300 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
In the revenge game against the New Orleans Saints. He's had 40 pass attempts in both starts so far. Saints, 29th in pass defense. Marshawn Lattimore is he's sitting on the bench because he hurt his hamstring, but he's in Washington as well. Like it's a banged up bad defense. Famous Jameis going to eat a W today. Browns go in 300 yards and 2 touchdowns from Mr. Winston.
Yeah.
Like it. Rivalry
Okay.
game.
Cincinnati Bengals. Chase Brown, longest rush is over 13.5 yards tonight. On Sunday Night Football, he's gone over this 6 of the past 8. I think this is going to be a very high-scoring game. A lot of explosive plays. Chase Brown hits one for at least 14 yards.
I like it.
Short and sweet.
All right. You heard me talk earlier about how well I think Josh Allen's going to do today. Well, I think Patrick Mahomes is going to do a little bit better. He's going to outscore Josh Allen today in fantasy points. The last 3 weeks, he's quarterback 9 to Josh Allen's quarterback 6. Last 3 games, Patrick Mahomes, 7 TDs and only 1 pick. We know it took him a while to get over that interception to touchdown ratio. Patrick Mahomes is the dude, like Jay said, you do not bet against him, and he will rise to the occasion today in Buffalo.
I like it.
And win.
There you go.
My bear one, my blank one is for you, Nico Collins. I'm looking at you. Over 71.5 receiving yards. Now, he's missed the past 5 games due to a hamstring injury, but through the first 5 weeks, he led the NFL in receiving yards. So I'm thinking picks up right where he left off. And coming off a full week of being a full participant in his, and quote, hell yeah, I'm playing this week. So Nico Collins over 71.5.
I agree with that. Absolutely. And by the way, the reason yours is blank is because I get the
stole it.
Texans shot glass. You're damn right, Brittany. Yeah, you know. Damn right. So here you go. Yeah, I say Nico Collins scores a touchdown. Not only do I like the over on 71.5, I agree with you, but I think you also don't overthink this. C.J. Stroud, it's a great matchup against the Cowboys, and C.J. Stroud thrilled to get Nico Collins as a top 5 fantasy wide receiver just on pure talent as well. He gets in the end zone. Anytime touchdown for Nico Collins against the Cowboys.
Okay, my last one. Tighten up. Titans cover +6 against very shaky Sam Darnold. You don't like that?
I like
Wait,
that.
one more time, tighten up.
That's what a guy said to me at a bar in Nashville once.
Right.
So I was wearing a Titans hat. He asked me if I was a Titans fan. I said, no, sir. And he said, tighten up.
Tighten up.
Tighten
No,
up.
that's their thing.
Yeah. Will Levis looked much more competent last week. Seemed
I
like he
agree.
was restored more to who he was as a rookie. What's that, Matthew?
I'm just surprised that 6 is the line here. Do you think it's just big? I think it's a little big.
Yeah, I agree. I'm taking the Titans.
yeah, exactly.
Let's go. Tighten up.
Tighten up.
Yeah. Let's go. I
Notice
just
there
think
was like an accent in
Jay,
there, not
when you
Australian.
say tighten up, you almost sound kind of American when you say
I
that.
am
does.
Tighten up.
You hear
Yeah.
in 4 years. Yeah. Tighten up.
Oh, you get a little country with
Yeah,
him now.
Yeah, of course.
But no, yeah. Anyway, I think Will Levis. I think he can outplay Sam Darnold today. Vikings defense hasn't been as dominant recently, and I think that Darnold's going to be shaky against a solid Titans defense.
Well, you know what, Jay? I think Lamar Jackson going to outplay Russell Wilson. I know. That's yeah, right.
Well done.
338 total yards, 0 interceptions. Ravens win. Now I say those things. This is why the Ravens haven't beaten Pittsburgh in 5 years with Lamar. 1 month and 7 days. He's thrown an interception in every start he's had against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh has the 8th ranked defense in this league, but you know what we seeing right now? We not only seeing the best Lamar Jackson we've ever seen, we're in the midst of one of the best quarterbacking seasons of all time. And Lamar will continue that today, and he'll get over this, oh, he can't beat the Steelers. Well, he doing that today. It's going down. Let's go Lamar Jackson.
I just need Russell to be top 10.
He can be that.
Yeah,
Every quarterback
Junk
is
time
top
still
10
counts.
versus the every quarterback is
still
top
counts.
10 versus the Ravens.
Junk time
I'm
still
just telling y'all what Lamar finna do. That's
Yeah.
it.
Big Show
Yeah.
was looking this up, and it actually surprised me that Lamar's only finished QB1 1 week.
Yeah. He probably like always in
Always
the top
top
3,
three.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
All
Big
right.
Show tried to trade. He thought he was getting Lamar from me. I sent him for the okie doke. I was just trying to see if Bijan was available, which he was. Shout out to Big Show.
Right.
Shout out.
What did he ask you? What did he offer you for Lamar Jackson?
Well, I made him the offer because he
You
told
were
me
giving it
he
Bijan.
told me Bijan was absolutely not available. I said, all right, well, let's see. I'll give you Lamar and Jahmyr Gibbs for Lamar. He's like, oh, let's do that deal.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
like, no.
Right.
Lamar Jackson, stiff arm.
Yeah.
No.
Heisman.
Never.
Stiff
So
arm or
you're-
Travis Hunter? What's going
Yeah,
on there?
exactly. You're
Both. Lamar won the Heisman too.
Hey.
So he did, a little Heisman.
Lawrence is a
right?
tease. Lawrence is a trade tease.
Wow.
Well, he
Yeah.
should have accepted
Commissioner
my
here was like,
trade
"I didn't
for
see
Will
this."
Levis. He didn't. He took producer Damien's trade for Drake May instead, so I was bitter.
You're salty.
Yeah. But he made the right choice. Definitely. He made the right
We
choice.
got a
I
thumbs
didn't
up
see.
from
I didn't
Big
even see
Show.
that trade. I got to start paying attention.
Yeah.
All right, it's
You're in how many leagues again?
25.
Yeah, 25. I'm going to round it out, and I need Amari Cooper to play to feel good about this.
Okay.
Bills to upset the Chiefs to give them their first loss
Wow.
of the season. Now, I know it hasn't been a favorable matchup for Josh Allen and the Bills in playoffs, but they are 3-1 in the regular season, but I need Amari Cooper.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Justin.
It would not be an upset though, just so you know. Bills are favored.
I know, an upset
Feels
for
like
the
an upset.
Feels like an upset though.
Yeah.
I think everyone expects the Chiefs because it's inevitable. I mean, when you're winning games with a walk-off field goal block, like all right. You're just like, okay, this is just stupid now.
Upset for Chiefs fans in the team. There we go. Shot for shot. Well done.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Keep on sending in those questions.
Oh,
Hashtag
what do we think,
FF
Lawrence?
Pregame.
Oh, man, it's over. My prediction might have been too low on Lamar. He got
450.
He has a
Oh,
bedazzled
man,
jacket.
he that looked like some Letterman's jacket or something. It is glistening. He got the bruiser
There's a lot
on the back.
going on with this
Good
jacket.
luck.
Good
Oh,
luck, Ross.
man.
That's exactly.
I
The
gotta
yellow
get-
pants are like, yeah, I don't remember. Those are like that's Steeler yellow.
Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, that's right. I'm wearing your pants, Russ.
I don't even know how much thought goes
right.
into these outfits. All right, when we come back, we'll talk a little injuries and waiver ads. if you were having something signed, would it be a hamburger bun? I don't think that would be my top choice, but for a fan out there, yes, that's exactly what they wanted Davante Adams to sign. But what do you do with it after?
They go moldy, those things.
Nah, they eating that.
You eat it. You eat it.
that.
You put Davante Adams into your body so you can absorb him.
Or the Sharpie.
Yeah, no, you don't eat it.
Both.
You don't eat a Sharpie, Brittany. What are you doing? You're hurting. For the love of God. We're going to have young viewers calling in saying, I ate a Sharpie. Well, Brittany told me on TV to do it.
No, I said don't do it.
Oh, interesting.
I said don't do
That's
it.
not what I heard.
Did you freeze it? Or I don't know. Anyway, speaking of Davante Adams, active. These are the earlier games. Jalen Warren active as well. We were talking about that. Still questionable for the later games. Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and George Kittle, it appears, is leaning unlikely. For at least everything that we've seen. Notable players ruled out: Trevor Lawrence, Tank Bigsby, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid we already talked about, and then Sam Laporta as well. Most significant player ruled out here in terms of if you have to fill that slot?
I think in a way it's Dalton Kincaid just because of the repercussions in the Bills offense and the fact that it makes Dawson Knox in particular, who, I mean, should be available in almost every
And just
league.
because, like this is a guy who's drafted as a top 5 tight end. He has been great this year, but he's been reasonably productive. And so it's just sort of, him and Laporta being out. Like it's been a brutal year for tight ends continues. It's gotten better recently, but still not great.
Yep. Also, Tank Bigsby out means that I can start Travis Etienne again, reluctantly, and pencil in those 9.5 points.
By the way, I'm not convinced you can. I mean, I guess I would say, and I just saw backup producer Pete, I did decide to check in on the League of Assholes after I heard about this trade that I wasn't aware of. And I did see that backup producer Pete picked up Dearness Johnson, which I don't think is a bad claim, which is, again, because in negative game script, Dearness Johnson takes over that passing down role. So the expectation here is Etienne will be sort of the early down guy, but in a losing effort. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about Etienne. I have to start him in a league too because I'm
my options are
bye-weeked out.
Limited.
But
I could start 2 of Tucker Kraft, Jake Ferguson, and Travis Etienne. So I think I'm starting Etienne.
I would agree with
Leaning
that.
Kraft
Best of the
over
options
Ferguson.
you have. All right, what does Michael have for us here? All right, what do we do? Help him out.
Wow. It just
Sorry.
went away.
Sorry, Michael.
We didn't get a chance to answer it.
Apologies, we had too many names listed.
You're gonna
What's
do
going on,
Michael
producer
Foley
Steven?
like that?
The tease.
That's
What
brutal.
a tease.
There you go.
He's
There,
worse than
okay.
Lawrence, producer
Michael,
Steven.
you
Oh, here
are
we go.
back
All
in
right, now you're
action.
back.
Let's help him
All
out
right,
here.
Michael Foley.
You are the weakest link.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
So does he need a wide receiver 3 and 2 flex, or does he need 3 wide receivers?
Needs one of them for receiver, so one
So he needs
has to
3
go with
players.
receiver. Yeah.
I guess he needs 3. I guess he needs
Half
3
PPR.
players. Half PPR. I'm going Tank Dell, going Rico Dowdle, and reluctantly Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, it's close with Jalen Warren, but who knows how healthy he is. So I think it's Dell, BTJ, and Dowdle.
Definitely not Jameson Williams.
Nope,
He's out. And then
definitely not
Lockett.
Tyler Lockett.
All right. Somebody really likes Andrew's question here. It's coming twice. For flex in a full PPR league, Jalen Warren or Romeo Doubs. So obviously we just said Jalen Warren's active. What would you do?
I'm going Dobbs.
Yeah, Dobby.
You're hoping for a touchdown with Dobbs is basically what it comes down to. It's a little hard to predict, obviously, given, but with the Packers because they have the 4 wide receivers. I do think it's a big Josh Jacobs game today. But I will say that the red zone and end zone role for Dobbs has been fairly consistent. And so if you tell me 1 wide receiver in the Packers scores a touchdown today, Dobbs is the most likely guy to get into the end zone here. Yeah. Again, given the health concerns of Warren, yes, he's active, but he's been banged up. It was a game time decision. Maybe he gets less of a workload, and they're playing Baltimore. Which is good. Baltimore, that's the only thing you can do against Baltimore is pass. So he's the pass catching back. But yeah, I think Dobbs by a hair.
Yeah. Also, I think there's a chance the Steelers might just not have the ball very much, and that the Ravens are moving the ball at will, and then it's the Derrick Henry show in the second half. So even if there is positive game script, you still have to possess the ball and be able to get first downs to stay on the field and sustain drives. So
correct.
Downside for Warren.
Yeah, again, the bullishness on the shot for shot really decreasing every time Jay
Bye
talks
bye,
here. Let's move on to top waiver ads. We'll start with the running backs here, available in over 50% of the leagues. Would we add? Sell me on some of these guys.
Sure. Well, we talked about Tajay Spears when I was talking down Tony Pollard, and one of the reasons why is like he played 3 fewer snaps than Pollard in his first game back last week, like just 3 fewer. Tyler Algier, he will not go away. He's had at least 11 touches in 2 of the past 3 games. And how about the Gus bus? For those of us that have been riding J.K. Dobbins, Dobby, upsetting to see how much work Gus Edwards got last week, 38% of the team's running back rushes. It feels like it's going to be a little bit of a committee there between those 2 guys, and you're basically, could Gus Edwards instead of J.K. Dobbins be the one that falls into the end zone? I think there's certainly a chance there.
Yep. You think Jerome Ford meaningfully cuts into Nick Chubb's work?
I do not. I think Nick Chubb has a nice game today.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb set at 65.5 rushing yards, which is about 15 yards higher than he's been set at. New Orleans' run defense is no good whatsoever.
I mean, like if he told me he was going to get 70 total yards and a touchdown, I'd sign up for that.
Yep.
That's what I. You're telling me 65, that sounds right. I'd probably take the over there. It should be positive game script for the Browns.
Oh, Jay Western. Oh, this is great. He's going to need some help because if I lose, my girlfriend will leave me.
Oh.
PPR flex, how do we help him out?
Well, first I need
If
to
that's
know is.
what it weighs on, I mean.
No, well, let's-
I mean, I'm about to say, that could be a good thing
That's
for
what I'm
him
saying. I
or
said
a
the first
bad
thing
thing.
that's the first thing I need to know is like, what are you rooting for
You
here,
need
Jay
context
Western?
here.
We do need some context here.
Because I could be saying start Keyshawn Boutte. We could do that.
Yeah, and Elijah Moore is somebody that Denny Carter talked up on Friday's Fantasy Football Pregame, as somebody that the mainstream media won't talk to you about. But since Jameis Winston's become the starter, over the last couple of games especially, Elijah Moore is getting a big target share. Yeah. It hasn't translated into massive fantasy production yet, and all the talk has been about, Club Said and David Njoku. But Elijah Moore has actually gotten some work, and again, I'm very positive on the Browns' offense in this game, off the bye, fully healthy. Their line's healthier as well against the Saints team that's sort of like, giving up a little bit. I think I'm going Elijah Moore here, guys, especially given it's PPR. Gus Edwards doesn't get you anything. With Gus Edwards, it has to be a touchdown. And Boutte's really interesting. I picked him up in a dynasty league this week as well. He played 100% of the snaps last week. Yeah. But, would you rather catch passes from Drake May in a low-scoring Patriots game or Elijah Moore in what we expect to be a high-scoring Browns game? And for me, it's Elijah Moore.
Yep, more for me too. Yeah.
That's if I lose my girlfriend, she will leave. If I lose, my girlfriend will leave me.
Good
Sad
luck
face.
or
Sad
not.
face. That's the intent
Good luck or not.
behind
I don't know what you're rooting for here, Jay Western.
We're assuming.
But I'll tell you this,
Share
Jay
your
Western.
story.
Hey, shout out. Here, Jay Western, as I was going to say to you, if you lose this week and your girlfriend does leave you, here's what I want you to do. I want you to tweet the show. Send me a picture. We'll put it up here. We'll find you another girl. Don't you worry. I'm all about love, Jay Croucher.
Yeah.
We'll be matchmaking. We help you win fantasy and we help you find love.
Yes. The great thing, if your girlfriend leaves you, you can get another one.
Yeah. 1,000%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
a lot of fish in the
Just
sea.
trading them out like playing cards.
Come on, Brittany. A lot of fish in the sea.
Yeah.
I mean,
honestly-
he can't just be lonely the rest of his life.
Yeah, honestly.
What
listen,
if she's a great gal?
His loss.
Then
Then okay, that's
if she's leaving him over a fantasy football loss, she's not a great gal.
Yes.
How long have you stuck by your pathetic fiance with his ineptitude at fantasy football?
Oh, you
but
make
you're
a
a great
great
girl.
point.
You're a
There you
great
go.
girl,
Yeah.
Brittany.
Great
You have
point.
stuck by your man.
Yeah.
Despite all evidence to the contrary. Well, all your
not worthy.
girlfriends have been like,
Dying
Britt,
by that.
leave this guy. Leave him for a fantasy champion. And you've said, no, I love him. I don't get it either, but I do.
She might have a boiling point, though.
Yo, yeah.
Depending if the fantasy losses stack up.
I know.
Well, they have.
I mean, the
I
wedding's
need an update.
the wedding's a long way off.
Yeah,
Like, there's
you
still
got plenty of time. You got a whole season.
Lawrence, let's you and I go to her wedding, and when the officiant says something like, "Does anyone here have any objections to this union?" I'm going to stand up. I'm going to say, "Yes, sir." Yeah. He was 2-10 last year. I don't think you understand. He was, look at some of the trades he made.
Enough said.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
And then you got his groomsmen who would totally agree that our
1,000%. Yeah.
We got to turn this thing around immediately.
Just look. You don't have to do it publicly, but you've got a couple of backup guys, right? You've got a couple of just guys on the back burner that they've loved you forever, and you've kept in them friend zone. But you know that if this goes south,
She don't know who that is, but it's somebody waiting.
there's 1,000% somebody
it's
waiting.
always
There's
folks
always a
waiting
dude
in the
waiting.
cut.
There's always a
Yeah.
dude waiting.
But
You're
how-
dealing with three married
with a
guys.
little
How's
better
their
fantasy record.
football team?
Yeah, right.
No, we don't look at that. But apparently, some do.
Yeah, we might. We might. I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to say this. What's your fiance's name was what? Patrick?
Patrick.
Patrick.
He's going to love this.
All right, listen,
he's
Patrick.
on a flight, so he can't listen right now.
No big deal. But if you lose your matchup this week, the wedding's off. The wedding's off. There you go. Just like Jay Western. I'm throwing it out there right now.
But I'm rooting for you, Patrick. I'm rooting for you, dog.
I kind of want chaos.
Yeah, I'm rooting
I
for
see
you.
that in you.
But if it happens, well,
I'm not saying you break up with him. I'm just saying the wedding's off.
The cheer dad doesn't want that for
Yeah,
his
the
daughter.
cheer daddy.
I'm just.
No, cheer daddy doesn't want that.
Brittany, I'm not saying you break up with him. You can still be in a relationship with him. I'm just saying the wedding's off. Like, you're not ready to commit.
well, that'd be
full-time.
awkward.
Yeah.
Is
That'd
he
be
on
a
a
little
plane
awkward.
to fantasy football loser island?
I think
Is that where he's headed?
yeah, where his residence is.
Who else is on that island? Anybody at
I
this
don't know.
table?
Yeah. Backup producer Pete.
No, Audio Adam.
Oh, wow.
We're going to get this back on track,
Audio
I
Adam's
promise.
having a tough
Time
year.
for the wide receivers, top waiver ads. Available in over 50% of the leagues. We were just talking about Ricky Pearsall earlier. How about coming off of his first touchdown last week? Huge moment for him and the team, obviously. Third game back after being shot.
Correct, and like he's played 3 games this year. He's had at least a 16% target share. No George Kittle in this game. That news came out last night. He's not expected to play. So again, we already know no Brandon Ayuk and now no Kittle. So it's gonna be Debo, it's gonna be Juwan Jennings, and it's gonna be Ricky Pearsall in what should be a wheels-up game for Brock Purdy and that 49ers passing offense. So I think Pearsall is pretty interesting there as a top 40 play as you get down there. And then tonight's game, Bengals Chargers on NBC and Peacock. I'm a company man. QJ, Quentin Johnson, he scored in 4 of his last 5 completed games, Jay Croucher. I know the mainstream media doesn't want you to know that either. I know you've been trying to hide that.
We love QJ.
We love QJ here, friend of the show.
All right, more YouTube questions coming on in. I'm surprised we haven't had any that have been off the walls about our other topics.
Yeah.
Carmen Rana, hashtag FF pregame, half PPR.
Yeah, by the way, if you're
Me too.
watching on YouTube and you want to throw your name in the hat for Britney, again, I'm just trying to get you backup options. Put Patrick on notice, for the love of God. Like, if you've got to
I don't need a bench here.
Here's what
I
you
don't
do.
need a bench.
Post your record and just, hey, I'm single, I'm like 8-2, and it'd be helpful if you live in the greater Northeast area.
You guys don't do this with George, do you?
note that if they do that though, they've been single for a reason.
Yeah,
so know that. You gotta have your picture up too now.
Yeah,
You
we'll see.
can't just be.
Fair enough.
Back to
All right.
football. Help
Back
out
to-
Carmon.
Yeah. Half PPR, he needs 2. Audric Estime, Romeo Dobbs, and Ricky Pearsall. I'm curious, guys. Let's talk about Audric Estime here for just 1 second. Took over the Broncos' run game last week. Like, it was Javonte Williams and it was Jaleel McLaughlin. I don't think you can play Javonte Williams or Jaleel McLaughlin at all. It feels like Audric Estime has taken this team over. So Denver at home against your Falcons, Lawrence. You starting Audric Estime this week if you got him on your team?
Not this week. If he'd had a more efficient week last week, we saw him get the touches. Those other 2 guys are still lingering around. You kind of want to see that again. Whereas to Ricky Pearsall, where you just talked about him, George Kittle being out, we know Ricky Pearsall is now there, down the field wide receiver. We saw him make a big play. I actually like him in this particular situation for Carmen Runner. I like Ricky Pearsall now.
Fair enough. I think I'd go. I think I'd actually go Estime and Dobbs. I do like Pearsall as well.
It's 2.
Oh,
Yeah,
he needs
2.
He needs 2. I'm just going to go with the running back, and I think Dobbs has the better chance at a touchdown. You think about Pearsall. I really like Pearsall. I'm at 41. I have Dobbs at 37. So they're like right there. But I just feel like as much as I like Pearsall, you still got Jennings, you got Debo, you got CMC, you got Juwan Jennings as well. So he's probably like the 4th option on that offense. And so. Yeah, it's close, but I'm going Estime and Dobbs.
Yep,
Jay,
I
break the tie because he wants Pearsall.
I think Estime is the first guy that you choose just as a potential lead running back in a game where they are narrow favourites. And I would take Dobbs over Pearsall just because I feel better about Dobbs' chances of scoring a touchdown. And I feel just better about Dobbs' kind of place in the pecking order of that offense.
Right. Turn our attention to QBs and tight ends in terms of availability in over 50% of the league. If you can pick one up, there's a lot of chatter about Bo Nix at this table today.
Bo Nix has had at least 16 fantasy points in 5 of the 6 games. Since week 6, he's the 6th best quarterback in fantasy football. It's a nice matchup at home against the Falcons. As you see it there, he's a top 8 play for me. I don't understand how he's available in over 50% of leagues. Even though that's assuming most of these leagues are one quarterback leagues, I still think Bo Nix has been good enough for long enough that he should be rostered in more leagues. And we've talked a lot about Winston in the revenge game, Lawrence, going against the Saints.
Yeah, then you got Jonnu Smith here against Las Vegas. Over the last 4 weeks, the Raiders are allowing the most points per game in fantasy to tight ends. So, you know, it's not looking great. The Miami Dolphins offense isn't high flying, but Jonnu Smith has gotten a little better during the middle part of this season.
Yeah, Drake May as well. He's going up against the Rams defense that gives up a lot of explosive pass plays. So I think that Drake May can chuck it deep and also provides a lot of value with his legs.
All right, so arguments for some quarterbacks and tight ends there. Week 11 desperation plays for each of you. So, of course, available in 80% of leagues. Matthew, kicking us off.
Yeah, Will Dissly. Like 3 of the last 4 games, he's had at least a 23% target share. It's not a particularly scary matchup against the Bengals, who's struggled against the secondary. So Dissly, we just talked about, we think this is going to be kind of a high-scoring game. We think Herbert's played a lot better. Hayden Hurst has not been a factor at all, even when he's been active. So, yeah, give me Will Dissly as a top 15 tight end this week.
Yep. My desperation play, Alec Pierce. If you're desperate, you're usually hunting for upside. Alec Pierce is the epitome of that, given that he may only have 1 catch, but it could be for 70 yards against the Jets defense that has been much more suspect. Anthony Richardson, for all his flaws, can chuck it downfield to Alec Pierce, so he's my guy.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mike Williams. You talk about upside. Dude played 9 plays last week, 1 target, 1 catch, 32-yard touchdown. Steelers win over your commander.
I'm well aware.
Mike Williams, man. Look.
Listen, for all the dogging of Russell Wilson, that was a perfect throw.
Perfect throw,
it was
right?
Unbelievable. Under pressure, being blitzed.
And then you have you got Van Jefferson, who plays 71% of the snaps, 2 targets and zeros across the board. So if Mike Williams could play, like, let's say 30% of the snaps, gives you a little bit better chance. But it is a desperation play for a reason.
All right, Mike Williams. It is time for DraftKings Prop a Shot.
Hey now.
Oh, there's only. Was I that bad that I don't even get a football? Oh, you already have yours.
We got you.
You get one.
I felt left out.
Matthew's standing up again.
You're damn right I am.
Go, Matthew. Start us off.
You heard my shot.
Come on, great leader.
Don't hit Patrick Mahomes today.
Don't hit Patrick Mahomes.
That happened last time I was here.
It did.
Don't kill any Super Bowl MVPs.
All right.
Oh, I don't want to be last in case I don't make it.
So y'all trying to challenge me. You done altered the target.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, dude, you almost killed Patrick Mahomes.
Jalen, right in the face.
I almost hit Patrick Mahomes.
That was awful.
Oh, man.
What is this?
Can't be hitting
awful.
Patrick Mahomes.
Is Anthony Richardson over here? What was that?
Is he? Is that who's the other guy back
you're
there?
Anthony Richardson.
Oh, it might have been. Oh my
That's a good
God.
question.
No,
What? What's that? Producer Steven just got in my ear. Your wife is leaving you, Lawrence. After seeing that throw. After seeing that throw.
After that throw?
Yeah.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I got a text right now.
Yeah, exactly.
She said he's serious.
Exactly.
I might have to go up on the YouTube, not for Britney though, but
Yeah, I
you know.
understand. 1,000%. She says you're going to get to see the kids, though, so that's good. It's amicable.
Fantasy
that's cool.
football
That's
league,
cool.
how you throw a football, doesn't matter. All right, Jay, kick things off. Aaron Jones rushing yards over under 62.5. I mean, it was carted off last week, but did come back.
Yeah, he did come back. I'm still taking the under. Really tough run defense that the Titans have with T'Vondre Sweat and Jeffrey Simmons anchoring that interior of the defensive line. I think this is going to be an ugly game, and I don't think he's going to be very efficient on the ground. So give me the under on Aaron Jones.
All right, under 62.5. Lawrence, Brian Thomas Jr. receiving yards over under 45.5 as they take on the
I'm
Lions.
shook about this game. I got to go under right there. He's hit that in 2 straight games, but 12 yards with Matt Jones last week? Nah, the Lions just held Tank Dell to 39 yards. And what's the time of possession going to be for the Jaguars? I got to go under here.
Okay. Josh Allen, we're looking forward to this matchup. Pass and rushing yards, Matthew. 22 279.5.
He's gone over this number in 3 of the past 4 games as well. Boy, Kansas City's allowed. Lamar Jackson in week 1's the only guy that's gone over this number.
Wow, this one, I mean, this
I'm
is
going
really
over.
racking him.
I'm going
Under?
over. I'm going over on 279. I believe in Josh Allen. I believe in proud fantasy life investor Josh Allen. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I think both guys ball out. I think similar to how you were talking, Jay, how Mahomes will rush because of the important. I think Josh Allen also. I think Josh Allen could have 50 yards rushing in this game.
Agreed.
Jay, Brock Bowers, the Raiders take on Miami over under 5.5 receptions.
Yeah, I just think you can't make this number high enough. I've been taking the over on Brock Bowers in a game where they are bigger than touchdown underdogs, the Raiders. Miami defense is fine, solid, but not overly frightening. I think Brock Bowers will continue to emerge as the number 1 option in this offense.
Okay. Lawrence, Anthony Richardson back again. Passing yards over under 174.5.
Easy over for me here. He's hit this in 3 out of the last 5 games. He started and finished. The one he didn't finish, he had 71 on the first drive. And if you're saying, oh, he's low percentage, completion percentage. Well, C.J. Stroud was 11 for 30 against the Jets in Week 9, and he even threw for 191. So there you go. I'm going to go over for AR.
Let's see if this one's as perplexing for Matthew. Josh Jacobs rushing yards.
No, I'm going over. Look, it's 75.5. He's gone over this number in 3 straight. Last 4 weeks, Bears give up 175 rushing yards per game. There's no real threat to Josh Jacobs' workload. Off the bye, should be fully rested and healthy. Give me the over 75.5 in a game where the Packers are home favorites.
Jay, I feel like I already know which direction you're going to go on this one. Russell Wilson passing yards, 231.5.
I'm going to go under, which may be an unpopular choice, but I just think that this is more about time of possession and the fact that I think the Ravens are going to move the ball at will and that Russ just will not have that much of the ball to go over this, so I'll take the under.
Okay. Lawrence, there was a lot of chatter, obviously, about Christian McCaffrey last week, second game back. What would you do for his rushing and receiving yards, 126.5?
Wow, this went way up, so I'm going to go over. Seahawks have allowed this in 2 of their last 3 games. Look, when he first got back last week, 19 touches, 107 scrimmage yards, and that was his first week back. So in his second week back, I feel like they just going to let him, like Bain said, they're going to let him fight like a younger man with nothing held back. I'm going over for CMC on that number.
All right. Matthew with George Pickens, receiving yards, 71.5.
I'm going over as well, obviously. Look, I think, again, junk time counts. They're not going to be able to run the ball. They're going to have to throw deep. The Ravens allow a bunch of receiving yards to wide receivers. 5 different wide receivers in just their past 3 games. 5 wide receivers in 3 games have had at least 70 receiving yards, so it's 71.5 for Pickens, who's gone over this number in all 3 of Russell Wilson's start. I'm taking the over on 71.5 for George Pickens receiving yards today.
Okay. It's the revenge game for Jameis Winston. Passing attempts, 35.5. Jay, what do you do?
I'm going to take the over. He's at 41 and 46, and I think, too, that in this Kevin Stefanski offense, think about how much Joe Flacco threw the ball towards the end of last season too. Just whenever they haven't been constrained by Deshaun Watson and his limitations, they have aired it out. And so as much as I think they will have some success on the ground, I think Jameis will have at least 36 pass attempts.
Okay, Lawrence, we've already talked about Bijan Robinson here. So he's coming off of a week of 134 total yards, 2 touchdowns. In terms of rushing and receiving yards, 95.5.
That's why it's going to sound crazy that I'm going under. Denver has allowed this number 3 times this season. That's it. Now, 2 have been in the last 2 weeks versus Kansas City and Baltimore, but you don't have to worry about Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson on those teams. This is going to be a much tougher defense on the road, and I think the Broncos are going to win this game. I'm going to go under right here for Bijan.
Interesting. Right. Matthew, round us out. We were talking about Justin Herbert earlier being fantasy viable, passing yards over under 246.5.
I'm going to go over. He's gone over this number in 3 of his last 4 games. He was under last week, but that was the Titans game where he just didn't need to throw a bunch. So against Cincinnati, and I think the Bengals are going to be able to move the ball here as well. The over-under here in this game is 48, so the expectation here is that there's a lot of scoring on both sides of the ball. We talked about how the Chargers off the bye have had a much higher pass rate over expected than they were pre-bye. So I'm taking the over on 246.5 passing yards for Justin Herbert. Just, I don't know, like, he's Justin Herbert. Like, in a home game with no weather concerns, how Justin Herbert's under 250 yards, I think the market's overcorrecting for their perception that Harbaugh's so run-heavy from early in the season where he hasn't been the last 4 games.
Agreed.
All right, Prop Shot presented by DraftKings. You know it, DraftKings Sportbook is the #1 place to bet touchdowns, and new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app and use promo code Barry when you sign up. DraftKings Sportbook, the
Crown is yours.
I wouldn't be surprised if I saw David Njoku win a crown based off of some of the other outfits we've seen, but already on the field here, playing catch with Browns fans here in New Orleans.
Oh, he
That's
got
actually David Njoku in a Matthew Berry costume.
Yeah,
I
1000%.
realized that.
He's been watching the show.
Yeah, look at that.
First it was vest, no shirt,
What?
now just
I wonder if David Njoku's single.
no comment after that. We'll be back. The Stars are out in Los Angeles tonight when Justin Herbert and the Chargers host Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Tune in to NBC and Peacock at 7 p.m. Eastern as we lead you up to kickoff in Southern California. Welcome back to Fantasy Football Pregame. Dive into the rankings here straight away, 1 through 10 for our quarterbacks. Matthew, who are you looking at?
How about Brock Purdy? I'm as a top 4 play as you see it there on your screen. 5 of the last 6 quarterbacks to face the Seahawks threw for at least 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, including Brock Purdy in Week 6. It may say November on the calendar, but we know it is still Brocktober. You heard me. Woo!
I like it. Russell Wilson's
It's Week 11. You don't get the good jokes in Week 11.
November is when football is remembered. I was once told. Russell Wilson, number 7 on there, Jay.
Yeah, we've spoken a lot about Russell Wilson today. I mean, this is it's the reckoning, either good or bad. We'll see. I think we're going to learn a lot more about Russell Wilson and the Steelers' outlook going forward after today in a tough matchup against Baltimore in terms of team strength, but perhaps not in terms of pass defense.
Perhaps an inflection point. All right, we'll move forward to QBs 11 through 20. Jameis Winston, we've also spoken a lot about him in this revenge game that he's got coming up. What do we make of Jameis Winston? You're number 11.
Yeah, I think the revenge game goes well for famous Jameis. I like all the Browns in this one. He's had 87 pass attempts in his past 2 starts, over 40 in both games as well. And they've suddenly, listen, Njoku, very healthy. He looked very healthy there before we went to break.
Swole.
Yeah, you heard me. And then, again, club said open for business. Saints bad defense. We like Elijah Moore and Jerry Jeudy. We've gotten some production out of them. Nick Chubb keeps them honest on the ground game. Yeah, I think he's a top 12 play today. I think Jameis has a big game. It'll be the full Jameis experience. He'll throw, a mind-numbing pick or two, but at the end of the day, there'll be a lot of fantasy points for Jameis Winston.
All right, Lawrence, for you, who are you looking at between the 11 and 20?
Drake May here. In 5 straight games, he's had a run of at least 15 yards or more. That's crucial in fantasy for a quarterback. That means he's showing you he's running, and he's thrown at least 33 passes in 3 of the 4 starts that he's finished this season. The one he got hurt a couple weeks ago, but they're throwing. They could potentially be having to throw today against the LA Rams.
The Smitty coming in with YouTube question. I'm 4-6, need to win. Oh, he's 4-6, need to win out for the playoffs. 2 quarterback lead, super flex. Mayor Stafford, start 2, Ramondre, Chase Brown, Monty.
So
Jay?
I think you're starting. I prefer Drake May just because of the rushing
Agreed.
upside. And because of, as I mentioned, the Rams' pass defense has been prone to giving up explosive plays. I think May can connect on some deep balls. And then starting 2 of Ramondre, Chase Brown, Monty. I like Chase Brown and Monty.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, I 100% agree. That's who I would go with as well. May, Chase Brown, and David Montgomery.
I don't know if it's just today, but I feel like there's a consensus at the table quite often. Does that
Yeah.
happen? Yeah? Feeling it at week 11?
I had Anthony Richardson as quarterback 1. So it ain't always consensus.
Not always consensus. And by the way, not everyone at the table thinks you should break up with Patrick if he loses his fantasy game today. It's not 3-0. It's 2-1. I'm not going to tell you.
He thinks you should.
Yeah.
He thinks you should not.
Should not.
I like
And
that.
I'm just neutral. I'm just ready. I stay ready for whatever, So it's however it
Switzerland
goes.
over here.
I will be entertained no matter what.
Okay.
But like I said, I'm rooting for
I just
Patrick.
think you
As
deserve
am
a guy that's better in fantasy football, Brittany. It's nothing against
Of
Patrick.
the qualifications for
No.
fiance, number 1.
For a guy that he's a
fantasy football league.
lovely guy for somebody who's bad at fantasy football.
He was a good football player, though. If that matters. No.
You know what?
Okay, doesn't matter.
That matters. That matters.
Thank
Yes. Yeah. What level?
Played for Brown.
Oh,
he's-
yeah.
So it's weird.
I almost cursed. Forget fantasy. Yeah, man. Come on. Patrick played that. Yeah, man.
Redemption.
Wait,
Redemption.
wait, was he a
So he's
kicker?
smart.
Redemption. No, he was not a
Okay,
kicker.
Is he a
I
long
do
snapper?
know a few kickers, though. I
Long
do know
snapper?
a few kickers,
Is he a
though.
long snapper? Be honest. All right. Fair enough. What was his position?
We'll have to ask.
All right, fair enough.
But he
So
played.
He may,
Yeah,
not,
he's
he may
on the
not
not,
quarterback.
he may not have played. He may not have played.
Just say quarterback.
Yeah. How well do you know this guy? I'm questioning a lot of things about this relationship, Brittany.
Brittany's not going to want to come back.
I am so glad he's not a player. I mean, the viewers don't want to hear this, right?
No,
All right,
they
running
don't.
back rankings 1 through 10. Back to football, where it matters. Joe Mixon, we see your number 4 running back.
Only one team has allowed more rushing touchdowns this season than the Dallas Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? In fact, they've given up multiple rushing touchdowns in 3 of the last 4. So Joe Mixon, who just gets a massive workload. Every running back that's seen 17 touches against the Cowboys have scored at least 18 fantasy points. Joe Mixon locked in as a top 5 play this week.
Yeah, and for me, Jonathan Taylor, I think he'll get back to consistently being that top 5 guy. Almost 18 fantasy points per game in games where Anthony Richardson starts and finishes, as opposed to 11.5 points per game that Joe Flacco starts. So then you got the Jets defense that's allowed the 9th most rushing yards to running backs this season.
All right, moving forward a little bit deeper, 11 through 20. Josh Jacobs, I was surprised by this. Only 6 players have more rushing attempts per game in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Jacobs has just gotten a kind of a real bell cow roll with the Packers. I was up till 3 a.m. partying with cheer dads.
Wow.
I don't want to hear it.
The Courtyard
I was
Marriott.
getting drunk with cheer dads, doing shots in the in the lobby of the Courtyard Marriott. So, yeah, you're lucky I'm even here, for the love of God. Anyway, Josh Jacobs.
I'm about to say, who
honestly, that's another poll we should put up there.
Bell cow. Bell cow with an L.
In fairness to me, English is my second language. Look, Josh Jacobs going to get a massive workload. Running backs have gotten at least 17 touches against the Bears this season, averaging 100 yards from scrimmage. Bears give up 175 rushing yards per game. That's second most in the NFL. They are underdogs on the road at Green Bay, coming off their bye. Packers have had 2 weeks to prepare for this. I think it's a heavy workload for Josh Jacobs. I think he has a big day today. He's my running back 13.
Mark Hutchinson coming in here. Superflex, half PPR, May or Jacobs? Lawrence, what do we do?
May or
It's a super flex.
super flex.
Yeah,
Drake May.
You're playing the quarterback.
Drake May.
much
More
as we like
more
Josh
likely to get 20 points. Hell, he more likely to get 15 points. That's just always the case when you have a decent fantasy quarterback option, even against the top tier running back. So yeah, I'll go Drake May.
Okay, thanks, Mark. Keep them coming. Hashtag FF pregame. All right, let's move farther. Well, no, we'll stick within the 11 and 20. Jay, for you, I mean, Kareem Hunt been a key for the Chiefs.
He has been, but I think the clock is inching closer to midnight on Kareem Hunt and his value with Isaiah Pacheco on his way back. Bills really tough run defense, though some teams have had success. Like Derrick Henry had a massive game against the Bills, but for the most part, they've been really strong against the run. So Kareem Hunt certainly startable RB2 level, but this will be one of the last weeks I think where you can start Kareem Hunt.
Okay, looking a little bit further, 21 through 30. Nick Chubb. I'm just a fan of Nick Chubb. How much are you a fan in this week 11, Matt? 22nd on your list.
Yeah, so that's how big a fan I am. I'm a 22nd ranked fan. There's 21 guys I like more than him this week, but everyone else I don't like as much. No team in the NFL gives up. You heard me.
Real literal here.
Wow.
You should have seen
Matthew
me like
having a shocker.
it's like 1:30 and I'm dancing on the tables at the Courtyard Marriott.
Do you want to show us the moves?
No, I do not. Brittany, you had to be there. But I will say that no team in the
Glad you
NFL gives up more yards per carry to opposing running backs than the New Orleans Saints. They're giving up 5.2 a clip. They've actually given up multiple rushing touchdowns to running backs in 4 of their past 5 games. Nick Chubb got the majority of the work in each of the 2 weeks prior to their bye, now off the bye. I think he's fully healthy. Again, I think the Browns open as underdogs in this game. They're now 1.5-point favorites. And I actually think the Browns cover that. Yeah, so give me Nick Chubb as a high-end flex, low-end RB2 today.
Jason Moore going against my fantasy nemesis this week. Dun dun dun.
Wait, was he going up against the Green Goblin?
Yeah, I like that.
Who beat me badly earlier in the season. Please pick my flex, Detective Drake London or Nick Chubb. Okay, we were just talking about full PPR.
Yeah, he's a fan of the show. Full PPR. I'm going Nick Chubb here. My concern here on Drake London is that he'll face a decent amount of shadow coverage from Patrick Surtain. Now listen, he plays like about 30% of his snaps in the slot, so he'll avoid Surtain on some of it. But just they're on the road at Denver. I think Nick Chubb has the better chance at a touchdown here. So it's close, but for me, it's Nick Chubb. I don't know how you guys feel.
Yep, I'd go Chubb as well. I think their yardage outcomes are going to be around the same, but the chance of a touchdown, I think, is much better for
Nick Chubb.
Chubby.
Nick Chubb.
Chubby for all of us.
Yep.
Today is the time for him to have one of them type games for him. He back today, Nick Chubb.
Have you ever in your life, at about like 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night, said to a bartender, at a Courtyard by Marriott, make it a double? Because I have.
Oh, wow.
I have. Like, again, they're like, it's closing time. I'm like, all right, I need to be double-fisted. Make it a double.
Okay.
By the way, who knew they had a bar at the Courtyard Marriott? Like, we were very excited to find that out.
I thought that was going to go in much worse directions than it did.
But I got to say, though, I mean, you are sprightly for 3 a.m., 11:30
That's because look, to be honest, he's still rolling off some of that hangover. And when you have that, it's like, I know, you know it. We all know how
that adrenaline.
Yeah, you feeling good. He feeling good still.
When I fall asleep on air tonight on Football Night in America, and I no longer work here at the company,
I'll tell you this: you better do that here instead of on there.
No, it's going to happen there. That's how it works. I'm going to hit like a lull. I'll eat lunch. I'll be full, and then like Maria's going to throw to me. I'm like. He's gonna do one.
This is my parlay right here.
DraftKings 3-play. All right, hang
Name
on.
a player that ain't even playing in the game.
Exactly right. Yeah.
It could be the shampoo effect, though, after the 3 shots you had.
Might be.
Travis Etienne.
Yes.
We're getting back onto the road. You were talking
You love
about
Travis Etienne
earlier.
today.
Do I? Do I love Travis Etienne? Look,
Best
this
of
is
the worst
we're getting into the last kind of realms before, particularly when Tank Bigsby comes back. Like Etienne, he's just going to be droppable at that point because he needs to really reassert himself today, I think, and make it further entrench himself just as an option in that backfield. And I think really Etienne's value is going to come from the idea that he can be a PPR scam artist and that he can get dump offs. It's been a really kind of dark turn for Etienne's career. He came out very highly drafted. He had great flashes early on, but it's just gone south since then. So hopefully he's healthier today and can get some work.
How good has Joe Mixon's season been this year? Pretty great, right?
Pretty awesome.
He had 46 yards on 25 carries against the Lions last week.
Yeah.
So good luck to ETN. We know you got the
It's
talent.
going to have to
but
be through the receiving game for Etienne.
That's what it's going to have to be.
And to get a touchdown somehow.
So,
They may not score a
could happen.
touchdown today.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like last week they gave it to Mac Jones, their 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
Hopefully maybe they give it to Travis Etienne for my guy Jay here.
You're just brimming with confidence right
Yes.
now. Wide receiver rankings, 1 through 10. Who are we taking a look at here, Matthew?
We've talked about George Pickens a lot this show, so just quickly I'll mention that no team in the NFL has allowed more touchdowns to wide receivers than the Baltimore Ravens. 23 points to a wide receiver. They've given up 23 or more fantasy points to a wide receiver in 5 of the past 6. You're telling me a Steelers wide receiver gets to 23? It's going to be George Pickens. You see him there at number 4 on my ranks.
All right, number 4, just below him, I should say, Cooper Kupp. How confident were we feeling in him this week from a fantasy perspective?
Very confident in Cooper Kupp. He seems all the way back after his injury. The key here is that the Patriots, they play a ton of man coverage. You know who roasts man coverage for fun? Cooper Kupp. I think he will see plenty of targets, more than the 7 that he did last week against the Rams. So Cooper Kupp, elite option. Obviously, you're starting him everywhere.
All right, a little bit deeper. 11 through 20 here for the wide receiver rankings for Week 11. Calvin Ridley as the Titans take on the Vikings. Matthew?
Yeah, Calvin Ridley. Look, the more
On television.
Well,
No.
you guys don't get a break. I should
Yeah.
say that, right?
we don't get a break.
1 o'clock start time. He's got a
Yeah,
lot of stuff.
I'm in 25 leagues. Turns out I
Line us
have.
about Calvin Ridley, Matthew.
I do want to start Calvin Ridley. Look, we've talked about the fact that Will Levis has played better recently, and part of the reason why is because they've been targeting Calvin Ridley downfield as well since DeAndre Hopkins was traded. Calvin Ridley has a 36% target share. He's averaging over 20 fantasy points per game. And oh, by the way, what are they doing with Calvin Ridley? They're throwing deep. They're chucking it deep. That's noteworthy because the Vikings allow the 2nd most receptions per game on deep passes. No one has more deep targets, which are 15 yards or more downfield, than Calvin Ridley this year. Like, they have no problem chucking it deep. They're going to chuck it deep to him a number of times. Vikings can be beat deep. Will Levis has played better. So I have Calvin Ridley as a top 20 play this week. Number 18, yeah.
I mean, over the week's
What is that shot? Look at that. That's from way up high.
Wow.
Look at that. That's crazy.
That's
Good.
how you're
I was
supposed to
trying
take
to
it.
get the top of the
worried.
dome.
No, it's great because I was worried. I was just like, oh, have they gotten the entirety of my bald head?
How about they
oh, no,
trying
let's
to
make
get the
sure,
dome?
Yeah, let's make sure we get all of it. Yeah, exactly. Where's some curtains from Jerry Jones?
Put the camera right
yeah,
there.
exactly. Let's open up the roof and let's make sure we get all of it. No curtains here. Jerry and the producers of Fantasy Football Happy Hour, no curtains.
It makes this area look better, though. high up shot.
Brittany, what I've learned a long time ago, there's no good angle for me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I have no good angle. It is what it is.
Takes
Like when
a
the
takes a
world's
strong
kept folding in
takes
Inception.
a strong man to admit that. Tyreek Hill here.
We have a good angle for him.
I saw you maybe. I saw you had him at 15. I can't believe you have him ranked so low. Actually, no, I'm just kidding. I can't believe that. Look, the yardage totals haven't been awful since Tua has been back. 72. 80, 16 is bad, but they're not Tyreek Hill. Like, it's a different offense now. They're getting the ball out quick. They're running the ball and doing it effectively. And I know you might think, oh, this is the Raiders. He'll get back going versus the Raiders. He might, but just know that no wide receivers gained more than 60 receiving yards against the Raiders because you can run against them since week 4. That includes George Pickens. That includes Jamar Chase. So,
listen,
you're
look
not
at those
taking them
shorts.
out. You ain't
Look at
taking
those shorts. Come on.
Them shorts
That's
is
cheetah
short
cheetah
right there.
underwear.
You can see like his whole thigh. I'm not. Obviously, we still starting Tyreek Hill. Jalen Waddle's a different story, but you got to start tempering these expectations now because they're running a different offense now.
I did not know Tyreek Hill and I had the same kind of underwear. That's amazing.
See, the thing is that them ain't his underwear, though. That's the thing.
Are you sure? That looked like
I
underwear.
hope so. I don't think
That looked
they
like
is,
underwear.
I don't know.
Cheetah boxer. We all have cheetah boxers. Am I wrong? No? No, is it? No,
I got rid of mine.
Does your closet more resemble David Njoku or Tyreek Hill?
Tyreek Hill, because my David Njoku closet is just literally like, one vest and leather chaps. That's all I have in there.
Well,
One leather vest,
David
and pair of leather chaps.
David Njoku, you have no closet because it's all shirt off.
Exactly right. That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
That's my point.
We've come full circle to Leather Daddy.
Yeah.
To go with
I
Cheer
am.
Daddy.
Cheer Daddy, Leather Daddy.
Leather Daddy.
A lot of different
Don't show up
daddies.
as leather daddy to the cheer daddy role.
No.
That's a good
would
heads
not-
up. I'm going to set a
That would
reminder
not
for that.
go over well.
Imagine. What's up, Orlando? Ah, damn it, I picked the leather, not the cheer daddy. Damn it.
At 21 through 30, we're taking a look at Cedric Tillman's the Browns take on the Saints.
Club set is wide open. Saints allow the fourth most yards per game to wide receivers. He's averaging over 24 points a game in Winston's 2 starts.
Jaden Reed, number 28 on your list, Matthew. He's had more than 6 targets once in an NFL game this season. Brings a tear to my eye. He's not getting much usage.
All right, 31 through 40, we're moving quickly here. Quentin Johnston.
Yeah, QJ should have a matchup upgrade against Cam Taylor-Britt, who struggled this year. McConkey has the much tougher matchup in the slot in this matchup tonight. Bengals allow the 4th most yards per game to perimeter wide receivers. Give me QJ as a top 35 play tonight.
Lawrence, who are you looking at?
Michael Pittman Jr., very, very nervous about this start here. No matter who's at quarterback, he's got one game over 65 yards this season, and I don't know how healthy he is with that back. He's always, not practicing in boom, full go, so very nervous about that start.
In terms of tight ends rankings, they had a rough go of it. Sam Laporta out, George Kittle unlikely, Dalton Kincaid as well. There you go. George Kittle obviously highlighted, but unlikely is the number 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's not going to play. So you're looking for some streamers. We've talked about Will Dissly. We like him tonight. I don't know that I like anyone. I don't like A.J. Barner on this side of Seattle. I don't like any of the other tight ends there. Dawson Knox would be another guy that I think if you're looking to stream without Kittle.
Yep. Mark Andrews, number 7 on Matthew's list. He takes a hit with Isaiah Likely back, but still, you're starting Mark Andrews virtually in every league, given how high you drafted him.
One other thing on Dissly real quickly. Bengals allow the 4th most fantasy points per game to tight ends over the last 4 weeks. It's an area of the field you can attack.
Lawrence, any tight ends that you're looking at?
Mike Gesicki. I don't, maybe, but not looking to start. I don't know. T. Higgins is back. In those games that T. Higgins has played, Mike Gesicki was tight end 47, only 8 catches and 71 yards in those 4 games that he played with T. Higgins. So be wary of that one.
All right. We got to step aside. Beer Goggles is coming up next. Always love that segment, right? And
I
he's
bet.
on the field. Warm-ups underway. As the Indianapolis Colts take on the New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers warming up.
How sober were you when you and Patrick met? I'm just asking.
It was for an interview on NBC, so very. Also, defensive back. Found out the answer.
Interesting.
We'll do
Okay.
that.
Got it.
It's David Montgomery bobblehead day. Do we have one of those in here? Hopefully we didn't hurt it. The Lions are giving away 25,000 David Montgomery bobbleheads at this Sunday's game at Ford Field. Something to take away. Little memento as they take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it is time for the beer goggles. On a scale of 1 to 5, I mean, you guys know how this is played. On a scale of 1 to 5 beers, what would it take for you to start these players? So that's where we start in terms of matchups. We'll have 4 different matchups here. Jags, Lions facing off David Montgomery.
Yeah.
Bobblehead included. How many beers?
For me, 0 beers. Stone cold sober. Like, this was the how I was before the cheer competition.
Before courtyard.
Stone cold sober before. Oh, yeah.
How I long for that time.
Again, because it's Dave Montgomery. Like Jacksonville has the 3rd most fantasy points per game to opposing running backs. Running backs that see at least 15 touches against the Jaguars, averaging almost 20 fantasy points per game. Detroit has the highest implied team total this week as well. They're also a 13-point favorite at home. Dave Montgomery gonna get into the end zone, gonna have a big day. 0 beers, stone cold sober, Brittany. That's how. Please, exactly. like you at your interview when Patrick was supposed to be talking to you. Yeah, Patrick.
And I'm not even coming off of a big night either.
We don't have time for it, but I want to know how Patrick went from being interviewed to then getting your number. That's I got to give him credit for that. That's a tough move to make when you're in a professional situation. To then now, he's engaged
man got
to the
game.
woman.
That's what
the man's got game.
That's it.
I got to give him credit for it. He doesn't have fantasy game, but.
Got some game.
I give some
The game that
That's
matters.
what matters.
Credit there.
The game that matters
credit
here.
there. Legit credit.
Brian Thomas Jr., Jay, how many beers would it take to
3.
hit 0?
Yeah, 3 beers for Brian Thomas Jr. Scared about the quarterback, but positive about the game script situation and positive about the talent. I think Brian Thomas Jr. will turn it around after last week.
Okay, so having a good time. What about you, Lawrence? Jameson Williams.
I need 4 beers to start him.
Woo.
No games over 75 receiving yards in over a month. The only reason it's not 5 because it's Jameson Williams and he could pop off that big play, but I need 4 beers to start Jameson
Still gotta
Williams.
be feeling really good for Jameson Williams.
Yeah.
All right, turn our attention to Minnesota at Tennessee. Sam Darnold, we talked about him a little bit earlier tonight.
We did indeed. I need 3 beers. I heard my friend Jay Croucher talk about how nervous he is. Look, he's been bad on the road this year. He's averaging under 13 fantasy points per game. This game's in Tennessee. They have the number 1 ranked pass defense, the Titans do, right? They're giving up under 160 passing yards per game. Over-under here is 39.5. That's the lowest on the Week 11 slate. So, yeah, tighten up.
Tighten up.
Tighten up. Tighten up. Anyway, Sam Darnold, he's my QB 17. I'd need 3 beers. That's like 3 beers. I was about a half hour into the courtyard at Marriott with it, but 3 beers, that was about where I was 30 minutes in.
Half an hour.
I might have taken a shot or 2.
Okay. Jordan Addison.
4 beers for Jordan Addison. Really wasn't happening for him even before TJ Hawkinson came back, and now TJ Hawkinson is back to take even more targets away from Addison. And Matthew mentioned that awesome Titans defense. Tighten up.
Yep.
And yeah, 4 beers for Jordan Addison.
I think they'd accept you as one of their own. Tighten up. Lawrence, Tony Pollard.
It's 2 beers right now. A few weeks ago, that's 0 or 1 beers, but Matthew mentioned it earlier. Tajay Spears cutting into the touches there. Minnesota, 2 straight weeks of holding running backs to under 50 yards, so I'm going to go 2 beers to start Pollard this week.
Colts facing off against the Jets. We saw Aaron Rodgers just warming up earlier. Josh Downs, what is it gonna take?
4
Where
beers.
are you in the Marriott
4
now?
beers. Like an hour in. I'm handing out beers to everyone. Like I'm, dads I haven't talked to all season long. I'm like hugging now.
Yes.
It's like, it's sloppy.
Fellow cheer daddies.
Yeah,
You
my
get a
fellow
beer.
cheer
You get a
daddies.
beer.
My fellow cheer daddies. And I have to make sure I don't get them mixed up with my fellow leather daddies. Obviously, here's the concern, and it's 2 words. Anthony Richardson. He's caught under 50%. You heard me, Lawrence Jackson. You heard me.
Show them today.
Josh Downs has caught under 50%
Brittany's
of his
gone. She's
targets
lost it.
from Anthony Richardson this season. He's had under 6 fantasy points with 2 of the 3 games that he's played with A-Rich. By the way, Jets allow the second fewest yards per game to the slot. I want to be drunk if I am starting Josh Downs. I want no part of this Colts passing attack today.
I genuinely think I'm crying.
I got her. Took me 2.5 shows, but I got her.
The leather daddies will do it.
Okay, that's what did it. Michael Pittman,
4 beers, 4 slaps of leather for Michael Pittman.
You cannot jump on board.
Worried about the back for
Going
Michael
in.
Pittman.
Weather's-
Worried about Anthony Richardson. Worried about
Water's
a lot of
warm.
things with Michael Pittman. So 4 beers.
Yeah.
For pity.
Look, enjoy it. This is our last show.
I know, it is.
We're canceled at 101 today. Just enjoy it, Britt. All right.
Anthony Richardson, Lawrence, how many beers?
Just two. Look, Kyler Murray had 2 rushing touchdowns versus the Jets last week. C.J. Stroud, the week before that, had a career high 59 rushing yards against the Jets. He don't even do that. The week before that, Drake May, 46 yards and touchdowns, and he has his favorite buddy, Josh Downs, who was wide receiver 6 the last time Anthony Richardson was at quarterback. So I only need 2 beers to
Are you starting Josh
today.
Downs today?
It's 4 beers.
Yes, in any league I have him, I do. But I have to do it. I have to do it. I got faith in 5. This 5.
Well,
Stop
here,
it.
I know it
Stop
wasn't
it.
for you,
The
but how many
propaganda.
beers for you,
He's
Lawrence,
on
with
the
Josh
Colts
Downs?
payroll.
What's that?
How many beers for you, then? If you have to?
If it's Josh Downs.
Yeah.
For Josh Downs, 2.
Ambitious.
2. We'll see.
Final
Look,
matchup
the
we'll
game
look
gonna
up
get
here.
played.
Seahawks versus the Niners. Jawan Jennings. What is it going to take, Matt?
Only 2 beers. Like literally, like 10 minutes in, right? Look, I think he has a really nice game here. He's top 6 among all wide receivers in yards per target, yards per route run. In the 2 games he's played without Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk, no Brandon Ayuk today. Oh, by the way, also no George Kittle. He's gotten a 36% target share as well. So I think he's a mid-tier wide receiver 3 with.
Speak it all.
Stop it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Barely.
Yeah, I can decipher it
You
vaguely.
understand? I am still drunk. You know, I'm oozing cheer
We
beer.
finally got there.
Anyway, I think he's a mid-tier wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 2, potentially even wide receiver 1 upside.
Okay, for me, Geno Smith, 2 beers. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but I do think he is going to get there through volume. You just have to start him in most leagues when you have DK Metcalf, JSN, Tyler Lockett as options, and likely a game script where they have to throw.
Brutal record against the Niners.
Yeah, they should lose every time.
JSN for you, Lawrence.
0. I don't need to have any beers to start a dude coming off 180 yards, and he should have had about 250. So I don't need any beers for that. He should be over Tyler Lockett in the pecking order. They might be in negative game script, so no beers for me on JSN.
I like it. Beer goggles. Oh, this one's going to get really interesting. Pickup lines.
Yeah.
Presented by DraftKings Sportsbook.
You know,
Where are we at
It's
here?
easy to
Wow.
pick me up at this point.
I feel like both of you will be.
Oh, yeah.
Good record.
I don't like my pickup line no more because now it's minus 110.
So what?
This morning,
I know
it was plus 114. When I
Yeah.
got here, it was plus 106. But we're going to stick with it.
Remember
just to
where
show
he's
you.
at, though, just off the court.
Just to
I'm easy to be picked up right now.
they just telling you how good it is, Matthew. Look, I'm going to give you a little running back parlay
All right.
in that Jets and Colts game. Breece Hall and Jonathan Taylor, both to rush for 60 yards. Jonathan Taylor, this should be nothing for him. He averages 88 a game. He's destroyed this number in 5 out of 7 games. Breece Hall, not so much, but he's hit this number in 2 of his last 3 games. They're facing two of the bottom 8 run defenses in this league, and it's not skewed by earlier numbers. They've recently been getting gashed by everybody, both teams. So that's my pickup line, and if that one doesn't work, Isaiah Likely, 25 yards plus 130.
You can't do that.
There's a lot going on there.
I just had to get some plus money out there. But Breece Hall, Jonathan Taylor, each to get 60 rushing yards.
And that's minus 110.
Minus 110, yes, sir.
All right, Matthew. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. They're rhetorical questions, so don't answer back. I'll tell you the answers.
Yeah.
Do you know how many stats that TJ Watt had last week on the stat sheet? 0. He had absolutely no stats, so that's not going to happen again. Secondly, and this is the better one, TJ Watt, his past 10 games against the Baltimore Ravens, do you know how many times he has failed to record a sack? 0. Right. 10 games in a row against the Ravens. TJ Watt has had at least half a sack. I believe he'll do that again. For TJ Watt to record at least half a sack, it's minus 120. He will get one today against Lamar Jackson.
So I either have to bet on TJ Watt or I have to bet on a bunch of players.
No. Breece Hall and Jonathan Taylor going against bottom 8 rush defenses, but you got 2 top 8 running backs.
I like both
quite
those.
layered.
I am nervous about the elusiveness of Lamar Jackson. You're coming with me to the Courtyard Marriott.
Courtyard Marriott, let's get it.
You have picked me up. We're going up to the room. But again, Jay, as always, keep your phone on.
I always do.
You know, I might roll through.
There he is.
I'm going home with Lawrence
The
though.
rejected
amount
man.
of love that the
There he
Courtyard
is.
He might
Marriott
catch
has
a nice
gotten.
stiff
Feeling
arm
it,
by Lamar
showing
again.
some love on the sidelines. We'll be back if we can.
Maybe if NBC allows us.
Hey folks, Danny Carter from Rotoworld bringing you not one, but two excellent kicker plays off the waiver wire. We're going to start in Miami with Jason Sanders, available in about half of leagues, taking on a Raiders team that has given up multiple field goal attempts to 7 of 9 kickers in 2024. The Dolphins head into this game with the third highest implied total of the week at 25.75 points. That's a lot per the analytics. Jason Sanders is a good play. Second play is John Parker Romo. You may have heard of him last week against Jacksonville. He made all 4 of his field goal attempts against the Jaguars this week. He takes on a Tennessee team giving up the 7th most fantasy points per game to opposing kickers. There should be lots of good game script on John Parker Romo's side. Give him a swing if you get a chance.
All right, we like
Give him a
it. Danny,
swing.
thank you so much. Yeah. Our kicking insider. Okay, time to get into our fantasy football pregame. Anytime touchdown parlay. I will say, though, it went out onto the waves of the internet and got some pushback. Did you see that?
No. Why did it get pushback?
I don't know. They didn't like well, I think somebody chose Christian McCaffrey, who's minus, 220.
Yeah,
So what?
hey,
They didn't
are.
love the odds. Let's just say that.
I don't set the odds, but I'll tell you this much: I do like winning money and like whatever. And whatever, Chris McCaffrey
still
getting a
plus
touchdown.
money.
You're diff. It's
That's right. Tell him, cheer dad.
plus 600.
Wow.
The whole parlay is plus 600. I did not see the feedback, but that's fine. Don't bet on Chris McCaffrey to score a touchdown. What do I care?
Bet on Jordan Mason, he said.
Yeah, exactly. Go knock yourself out.
Watch Jordan
Throw
Mason
20
score
bucks down
now.
on Elijah Mitchell.
For all the people that love the touchdown parlay, Jay, start us off.
I'm taking Josh Jacobs, who I think is going to be in position to score. The Packers 5.5, 6-point favorites against the Bears. Line's been bouncing around a bit, but I think they will be able to do what they want against the Bears' rush defense that hasn't been perhaps at what it was last season. I think he'll get in the end zone.
Yeah, for me, Jahmyr Gibbs. Lions run the ball. That's what they want to do. They want to run the ball. They will continue to run the ball. Jahmyr Gibbs scored 4 touchdowns in his last 4 games. Run it up.
I'm going to start
We already
yelling
know.
at some of
Christian
these people.
McCaffrey. I'm going to go Alvin Kamara. I know that he's not made it into the end zone since week 6, but I'm looking for that to change against the Browns. They've allowed 9 touchdowns on the ground this year. Due to injuries, I just think they'll continue to rely on him. He's been targeted on nearly 42% of routes run. So Alvin Kamara for me.
There you go. There's our touchdown parlay. I saw some of the comments. I understand your complaints.
You just got to mute, right?
It is what it is. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
You go to the mute. All right, it is time for bar trivia. And I got to say, Lawrence, I feel like you're running away with it a little bit.
Yes,
He can melt. He can still
I'm
melt.
just coasting like Travis Hunter to win the Heisman.
So you know what we're going to do? Because okay, listen, Travis Hunter, here's what we're going to do then. Brittany, you're going to start with Lawrence every single question.
Start with me every time.
Okay.
Start with me every time.
Start with him every time. Here
don't
we go.
copy
That
me.
feels
that's
fair.
fine.
That feels fair. Okay, more receptions, DJ Moore or Jaden Reed?
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore.
Jaden Reed.
Contrarian. More fantasy points, Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery?
I'll always go Jahmyr Gibbs.
Jahmyr Gibbs. Sonic.
I'm going Dave Montgomery.
0 beers for him. More total yards, Aaron Jones or Tony Pollard?
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones.
Okay, consensus. More receiving yards, Jacoby Myers or Jalen Waddle?
Jalen Waddle.
Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby Myers.
That's where it. See?
This one's more fantasy points, Matthew Stafford or Drake May?
Drake May.
Drake May.
Drake May.
More rushing yards, Nick Chubb or my Alvin Kamara?
Nick Chubb.
Alvin Kamara.
More rushing yards. I'm going to say Nick Chubb.
More receptions, Devontae Adams or Garrett Wilson?
Garrett Wilson.
Is playing.
Garrett Wilson.
I agree, Garrett Wilson.
More fantasy points, George Pickens or Zay Flowers?
Zay. Okay. Zay.
Zay Flowers.
George Pickens.
More passing yards, Kirk Cousins or Bo Nix?
Bo Nix.
Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
Bo Nix.
Wow.
Yeah.
Give me Bo.
More
Yeah.
receiving yards,
Bo knows.
DK Metcalf or Debo Samuel?
Metcalf.
Oh, wow, you jumped the gun here.
That's all right.
Metcalf.
Yeah, Lawrence needs some help.
Yeah, I did.
Screw it. Cheer Daddy says Debo. I'm going down in flames, or I'm going to win. I'm either going to be in first place next week. I'm going to be down in flames, and be drunk and getting drunk at being drunk at a courtyard every Saturday night.
Big risk, big reward. I mean, you should just drink there for free after
I
all the
might.
promotion,
You think?
right?
You'd think.
More fantasy points, Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes?
Well, this was one of my shots. I'm going with Patrick Mahomes.
All right. Well, I'll go Josh Allen.
I will go with proud fantasy life investor Josh Allen. Thank you very much.
Tumas, more total yards, Chase Brown or J.K. Dobbins?
I'm going to go Chase Brown
Chase
here.
Brown.
Chase Brown.
Last but surely not least, more receptions, CeeDee Lamb or Nico Collins?
Nico.
Nico Collins.
Nico Collins, CeeDee Lamb might not play.
You're right.
Yeah, it was a 50% chance
That
of
was
zero.
right. That was my shot for shot, too. Last call, bar trivia. How many are you in front? 71?
All right, we got time for a few questions. Has anyone thrown their hat in the ring for Britney yet? What's going on?
Oh, that's just going to make me feel bad if you get zero responses.
All right, Kevin says
Too small
winner
for
is the first to clinch a playoff spot. Wide receivers Kupp, Jefferson, Kamara, Williams at running back needs 2 flex from Dobbins. You didn't need to tell us that. Okay, Dobbins, Dell, Chubb, JSN, Tillman. Thanks for the help. That's from Kevin. So 2 flex. I'll say definitely Nick Chubb for me, and then it's Dobbins or. I think it's Dobbins, right? I think it's the 2 running backs, unless you think you want Tank Dell?
I might go
Tillman?
JSN.
You want JSN? All right, fair enough. All right, there's our answers there. Carter, 2 in my PPR league, CeeDee Lamb, Chubb, Cedric Tillman, Jamin Reed. Chubb and Tillman for me. Again, I'm worried about CeeDee Lamb, whether he'll play or if he's limited.
Yep.
Chubb and Tillman.
Yeah.
So there you go. 15 seconds. All right, that's all we got left. Yeah, well, look,
Don't fall asleep later.
I fall asleep. This may have been my final performance on NBC. If so, thank you to the Peacocks. Appreciate you. For Lawrence, Brittany, and Jay, I'm Matthew. Go Cheshire Junior Cheer! Peace out.